I am doing a review for every single Resident Evil game ever made, or at least the ones on this list. I just doing a 155-hour marathon of playing every single Resident Evil that ever existed. And
I don't believe you. I don't believe you every single one that ever existed.
And then some.
And then some. Okay. Maybe he did. But I have a hard time believing that, just personally, honestly. I just don't like these kinds of statements because they are never actually true. If you say every single game and then you only... Again, this guy's clearly not doing that. I see Outbreak up here, I see Dead Aim, you know, there are some spin-offs, you know? But some people do that. Some people say every single game and then it's not even all the main ones, honestly. Like, no, it's not every single one. I don't like these kinds of statements, these kinds of all-encompassing, absolute statements.
And then some. I played a lot of the DLC. I played games like the Resident Evil D-Gen.
You haven't beat on ours? Yes. But if he does a lot of RE content, he probably knows all the games pretty well. I guess it's his main thing, I'm gonna assume, so... I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually played all of these games on the list here in that marathon and in less time than I, because I'm just playing them casually. He probably knows them super well. You're well past 200 hours of gameplay, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
On the end gauge, but moral of the story, I've played every single one of these games and I played them all in the past 2 weeks. So now that everything's all fresh in my mind, I figured I would review each and every one of them and just give my own personal opinion. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, like after the fact, if you scroll to the end, you're going to be disappointed because everyone is. Like usually people that scroll to the end are looking for one game, and if it's not where they want it, they're angry. But just hear me out on everything. I have like 5,000 plus hours on this whole franchise.
Yeah, 5,000, that's insane. Yeah, he just knows the game super, super well.
To say, and I have specific reasons why I personally, remember, tier lists are personal. Like you're not, I would never be wrong about this or right. It's just your own personal opinion. So let's see, what game should we start with, fellas? What game should, well, we have RE0's theme on. Should we start with RE0? Resident Evil 0. Let's just put this here for now and I'll talk about it. I'm not gonna actually, let's put it here. All right, let's put it there. So
He's probably not actually gonna put it there, right? But immediately rage baiting the Zero fans. I would personally probably put it... I guess I can just, like, do it alongside him, just give a my quick thing. I would probably give it a B. Like a low B, probably. High C, low B, somewhere on that ballpark. High C feels a little low, but if you think about it in the terms of points, 10, 9, 8, 7... actually, I guess S is like perfect, right? So that would be only 10, and I guess 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and that is just 1, 0, just absolute dog shit. If you think of it in these terms, which I like to do, I would give 0 like a 6, 6.5, so like a low-ish B.
Evil 0. This is the first game in canon, I believe, starring Rebecca and Billy. I actually like this game. I think it's fine. It gets a lot of hate.
Who is this rando on screen? Someone who got 376k views on a stream highlight.
Online, and I can explain why it gets hate, but first I want to talk about the stuff I like about RE0. I love a lot of the environments in this game. There's a lot of like dark, scary, eerie environments in Zero. It probably has the most...
I'm not sure if he's gonna say that, of course, but... environments is not something that stands out to me about Zero the most. The thing that stands out about Zero the most is the art itself. It has super, super, super impressive pre-rendered backgrounds. It is a gorgeous looking game. It came out the same year as Remake, which Remake already looks super impressive, but then you look at Zero and it looks like another generational leap almost. It is incredible. It is probably the most beautiful pre-rendered backgrounds in any survival horror game, honestly.
Most of them that any RE game has in the franchise, possibly.
Wait, what?
Eerie environments in Zero. It probably has the most of them that any RE game has in the franchise, possibly. It has very, very dark atmospheric music as well. Like, it is the dark and depressing-esque Resident Evil in terms of its atmosphere and its sound design. And I love those things about it. I also love sequences where you are playing as one character and the other is AI and it's doing what you want it to do.
Okay, no, I hated that. I didn't hate that, but I don't know, controlling the AI didn't feel deep enough to actually feel like I'm in control. It's either you attack, well, it's either any combination of you come with me or you stay here, you attack, or you don't attack. It's any combination of any two of these things. It didn't feel deep enough for me to actually feel like I'm in control. It just felt like kind of, yeah, partner A, just come with me. Don't shoot, just come with me. Don't get killed, basically. That's actually something I didn't like. I thought he was gonna mention how sometimes they get cut off, and you can only play as one, or they're in completely different locations and have to like interact with each other from completely different locations, solve puzzles in that way, because they're separated and they kind of have to find their way back together or do something. And I like that aspect of this almost co-op feeling.
Where you and Rebecca are standing at the end of a train car, both with your pistols out, popping off on zombies together. That is unreal. I love that stuff. Now, I will tell you guys why people dislike Zero, because I know the reasons why. One of the major problems with this game, and I've talked about this many times, is that everyone's experience is going to be vastly different. Now, where you're probably thinking, well, that's obvious. Everyone's experience with every game is different. This game is special, and CVX has the same kind of problem. There are certain sequences in Resident Evil Zero. I can give a specific example. There's a part when you first get to underneath the church. There's a hole in the ceiling, and the game asks you, would you like to send up Billy or would you like to send up Rebecca? If you send up Billy, you have made your playthrough vastly more difficult. And if you send up Rebecca, you've made your playthrough pretty easy. When Rebecca's up there, it's like a 20 to 30 minute segment. When Billy's up there, it could be a 45-minute to like a 3-hour segment. You can completely screw yourself over. You can get soft locked because you don't have enough ammo or heals, and you never understand what you did wrong.
Okay, I didn't know what he was getting at with the Code Veronica comparison, but now I see it. And if that is the case, I didn't notice any of that, of course, because I only did one playthrough for my marathon right now. But if that is the case, that's bad. That is bad. That's also something I didn't like about Code Veronica. I literally had to replay a section of Code Veronica just to get some ammo, some items over to Chris for the final fight, because I wasn't notified of that. I wasn't warned of anything. You just kind of have to know. And that's bad. Especially in Code Veronica, I guess we'll get to that, but especially in Code Veronica, it's super, super easy to softlock yourself. That is bad.
A lot of people might send Billy up because the hook shot, it's like, oh, well, Billy's stronger. I'll send Billy up. Like, that's the scary area. I don't know what's up there. Like, down here is safe. I'll just keep Rebecca here. I'll give Billy all the ammo and weapons, and we'll send him up. Case in point, player A sends Billy up. Has to go back to the mansion, has a rough time with the monkeys because there's a bunch of new enemies and stuff respawns. Player B sends Rebecca up. It's easy. You go up there. There's a simple puzzle. You send the leech back down. Billy opens the door. Simple. Player A is going to hate the game way more than player B. So
I sent Billy up. Maybe I would have liked it more if I sent Rebecca. That is bad. And that the game doesn't even give you any hints at that. That is... Like, if it's different, that is cool. I love that if it's different. But if it's straight up harder, longer, and worse, that's bad.
So despite if that comes up during their review, like, oh, what'd you think of RE0? They might not mention any of that. But in the back of their head, that makes for a way worse experience. Anyway, the hookshot made this game badly. If they were to made this game much worse, sorry. If they were ever to remake RE0, I think taking away the hookshot would benefit this game greatly. They got rid of item boxes in RE0, which is something people hated, and they replaced it with being able to drop items, which that's great. Like thinking in your head, finally, I could drop items. Like nothing sucks more in an RE game when you're 50 miles away from a save box, you go to loot something, it's like your inventory's full. And then you're thinking, oh, I gotta run all the way. So to solve that, they let you drop items, but they also took item boxes away. Having to lug around a 2-slot inventory item the entire game, and you never...
Yeah, that is horrible. I also didn't like that with the hookshot. Like, you only use it, what, 2-3 times? But you have to carry it around through the whole game. It's so annoying.
Ever know when you're gonna need it is bad. Now, some players might have just dropped it in the lobby of the main mansion and left it there until they needed it. That's smart. That's good. But some players carry it around because it's like, well, it's a key item. I might need it up here. If I go check upstairs, I might need it if I go out this way. So
exactly.
I'm gonna take it with me. And for those players, again, it's that like 50-50 where they're going to have a far worse time with the game. With all that being said, I do like the music in this game. I do like the environments. Rebecca is a great character. I think Billy's a great side character. The story is off the walls. Like, it feels like they played Final Fantasy. Like, let's just implement that into Resident Evil. Like the opera singing Leech Man and the backstory with Birkin and Wesker and James Marcus. It's a little wacky. I'd say it's maybe the most wacky or top 3 wacky stories in the mainline franchise. I don't think it's the greatest. I think they could have come up with something.
Top 3?
Better. But regardless, I still think it's a decent game. Like, if you're a really big fan of the classics like 1, 2, and 3, I still think 0 is worth a play. With all those things I just said, all this comes down to is that it's a harder game. Because of these decisions, if you make those bad decisions, it's a much harder game. If you make the good decisions, it's pretty equal in its difficulty. I would put it's gonna be far down on B, but I'd say it's a B.
Okay, we agree on that. Far down on B, but it's a B. That is, well, I wouldn't say 6.5-ish, and if B is 6 and 7, I guess we're in agreement here, pretty much.
Moving on, Resident Evil 1. So Resident Evil 1, this was the first Resident Evil I was ever introduced to. My oldest brother played it when I was like 5 years old, and I would just watch him play scared out of my mind. I never played it myself as a kid, but when I started streaming, actually first played Resident Evil on stream. It was the first time I ever completed the game. So some things I love about Resident Evil 1.
There are a few Resident Evil games I played on stream for the first time, including 2 and 3 originals, including 4 remake, of course, but that's because it was new. Of the older games, Code Veronica was also my first experience with Code Veronica. 0 as well was on stream. 1 remake, I'm pretty sure, as well. I played a bunch of them for the first time. Not all of them, but I played a bunch of them on stream for the first time.
The music, as you can hear right now, so my favorite music in the franchise, it's just so eerie, and it's just so like oddly, for me it's like oddly comfortable, probably because it's just a nostalgic game, but I do just love walking around the mansion and hearing the music change every couple rooms into this other weird, like, just eerie song. It's hard to explain for me. It's very simple. There's not much to it. You tank controls, you run forward, you aim your weapon. There's not very many mechanics. It's the game that started it all. I personally love Resident Evil for
I think personally, I just don't. I think that might be some of the nostalgia speaking. Or maybe he genuinely, I'm not gonna try to put anything into his mouth or anything, but for me personally, I would probably put it at a high B, like very high, maybe low A, but that's, I don't know, it feels a little too high. I don't think it aged as well as some other games in the series. 1 remake, for example. I would put it at like a very high B.
The voice acting. If the voice acting was good, it'd be here. But because of the voice I have...
Okay, because he can't take it seriously, he likes it so much. Yeah, for me, I mean, it has this campy, funny vibe. I get it, and I find it funny too, but I believe it takes away some of the seriousness, and I just think it would be better if it was more serious.
Yes, you're almost a Jill sandwich. Ouch! All that shit makes me adore Resident Evil. I can listen to those cutscenes all day and laugh my ass off. Well, nowadays I don't laugh my ass off anymore, you know. But when the first few times I played this, I was in tears laughing. In tears laughing, though, at a horror game, doesn't that mean it's bad? For me, I rate these games based off of how much I enjoy playing them.
And that's perfectly valid.
Does it favors nowadays. Like, sometimes games are overly complicated. Like RE6 is overly complicated with its gameplay mechanics. And
is it though? Yeah, with all the jumping and stuff that you can do, but I don't even do that. So, but that aside, is it though?
Resident Evil 4 Remake can arguably be a little overcomplicated for some people. And if you want something...
I'm not sure what he means by that, but okay.
Simple, that's still like weirdly scary with its bad graphics, and also weirdly funny with its awkward voice acting. RE1 is amazing. And it's also one of my most played RE games. But I'd say it's a nice A. And if people put it in S, I think that's fair too. Or if people put it lower, like Resident Evil, to me, the OG is something that I think for everyone making a tier list or everyone reviewing the game will put it in a vastly different spot. Some people put it in S and say it's the best horror game of all time, and some people put it in D and talk about how bad the voice acting is. But for me, there's a lot of stuff I love about it, but I also don't think it's perfect. It's a little too simple for me to absolutely love playing. Tank controls are awful. Well, tank controls are the control scheme all the way up until RE6. If tank controls are awful, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 0, and CVX are out the window.
And Outbreak. And Dead Aim. And Survivor. Revelations, I'm not sure.
All right, next up is Resident Evil 2. So I think this goes without saying. Resident Evil 2 is easily...
To me personally, by the way, quickly about Resident Evil 1, it is the most replayable classic Resident Evil game to me. Maybe just because I know it so well at this point, that could very well be, but to me personally, it's the most, replayable classic one.
One of the best Resident Evil games ever made. I honestly don't even know what to say. It's got amazing pacing. It's got...
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know, like, to me personally, that is a take that so many people have, such a common take, but I personally don't necessarily see it that way. To me, too, especially playing it, well, recently, not back-to-back after one, but within a few days of each other, it felt to me just like more of the same. Yes, it was improved in every way. It is a better game in every way, but also not that much better. I would still place this maybe at a low A? Probably, like off the top of my head, probably at a low A? Like not that far above the first one, honestly. Like it is better in every way, but it is still more of the same. It doesn't do anything super new. Except of course like the 2 campaigns and stuff. Like if you look, okay, I'm just basing this off of my personal experience right here, right now. But of course, if you also take into account the second campaign, true. The second campaign, things like Mr. X, the different ways to play the campaigns as well with A and B scenarios, but for both characters A and B, so effectively you have 2 campaigns with alterations. In that sense, just because of the vastness of its content, I would agree it's an S. But just based on one playthrough, one simple playthrough, like I did in this marathon, I wouldn't place it much higher than the first one, because it's just basically more of the same, without doing too much new or different. But yeah, of course, yeah, as I'm talking, I'm realizing, yeah, if you, of course, you have to take everything into account, right? And if you do, then yeah, it is an S for me as well.
Great characters, it's got a great story, it's got great side characters, it's got a great soundtrack, as you can hear. I think RE2 is like one of the pinnacles of Resident Evil. And on top of that, it's one of the best sequels of all time. It's one of the best games on PS1. It's one of the best in a lot of different categories. Is it my favorite Resident Evil? No. But is it one of my favorites? Definitely. If most horror fans play Resident Evil 2, they will understand. They will at least understand why people love it. Great soundtrack, pacing, areas, atmosphere, puzzles are not the greatest, actually. I was gonna say...
He isn't mentioning the 2 campaigns, though. He isn't mentioning the amount of content, though. He's just basing it, so far at least, off of just purely what the game has to offer in one playthrough.
Puzzles, and then as soon as I said it out loud, I'd say the only thing... 2 things are bad about Resident Evil 2, in my opinion. The puzzles are sort of just like, hey, 2 statues. Okay, well, this one faces this way. I'll push it against that wall, and that one faces that way. Hey, you can use a lighter here. Okay, I'll do it. Like, you know, the puzzles are very, 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 like, simplistic. It has the easiest in the franchise. And on top of that, despite whether or not you remember this as a kid, it is also one of the easiest Resident Evil games ever made. But I don't think that is a weak point of it. I think that honestly is some of the charm.
Is it? I mean, I got through it pretty smoothly, I think, but that's just because I like survival horror games and I know how they play and I just kind of... But is it really? Because I don't know, to me they're all like similarly hard, I would say. I don't know.
It's just because the game gives you so much ammo. But
the classic ones, I mean.
Your first time playing through a Resident Evil game, you won't use a lot of that ammo because the trap every new Resident Evil player falls into, it's the same for everyone, is you save your ammo for the hard part and the hard part never comes, and then you beat the game with 1,000,000 bullets in your box, and you're...
Okay, that's what you mean, yeah, but the thing is, for me, that is the case with most Resident Evil games. Right now, not with 5 and 6, I'm actually running out of ammo a lot. But with all the classic ones, yeah, well, that is the case for me in general, just because that is how I play survival horror games. Either that, or I know the games pretty well, like in one's case.
You're walking into the final boss with like a rocket launcher, a machine gun full on ammo, 100 grenade rounds. You're like, let's go, dude. You shoot him 8 times and he dies. And it's like, oh, like that is classic playing through these old Resident Evil games.
Okay, anyway, you know what? Phrasing it like this, yeah, actually, yeah, you're right.
Okay, not to go on a tangent, I love Resident Evil 2. It's one of my favorite games ever made. And like I said, I think it's one of the best games ever made. But I don't think there's much to say. The game speaks for itself. It has a ton of content. All the content is great. The 4 scenarios, Tofu, Hunk, and then all the version exclusives like the Dreamcast version has Nightmare Mode, the N64 version has blood color choices, different costumes, a randomizer, and other weird things actually. And the GameCube version has skippable cutscenes. It was ported to many different things. Anyways, there's just a ton to love in Resident Evil 2. It's hard to talk about because like, I feel like no explanation is really needed. Alrighty, RE3. All right, I'm sorry guys. We're gonna go on a bit of a streak here. RE3.
3 I find is the weakest one of the original trilogy. Still a good game, but the weakest one to me. It is noticeably shorter. It's... I honestly, I don't think the final fight is super exciting. Maybe it's just because I know how to beat it, but... Nemesis kind of underused. I don't know. And with the locations as well, like, with survival horror games, and that includes Resident Evil 1 and 2, Code Veronica, 0, or I guess the ones that came before, 1 and 2, I expect multiple locations, multiple expansive locations, like Resident Evil 1 has the mansion, then it has the side house, then it has a bit more of the mansion, then it goes into the caves, then it goes into the lab. 2 has the police station, then the sewers, then the lab, you know? Silent Hill has the town itself, it has a hospital, it has a school, it has... was it an amusement park? That the final location of the first game? I don't remember. You know, they all have their several main locations, and 3 didn't really have that. It had the city, which was a great location and amazingly done, but then it recycled a bit of Resident Evil 2's police station, which I guess was cool, but not... It was too recent for it to be nostalgic, and took up too much of the game to be just a cool little callback. I don't know. It just felt like filler. Not like filler, but it felt like it just reused it because I guess to make the game longer, but the game already isn't that long. It would have been nice if the game was longer, or if it was like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 10 years later as a callback. But it was literally the next year, and it just felt like reusing assets. It felt like they were just reusing it for the sake of reusing it. And it was a chunk of the game. It was like a solid, what, half hour of the game? I don't remember. But then the main location is the city, and that is cool until you realize that that's almost all the game has. It also has the clock tower, it also has the sewer lab combination thingy, but those are pretty short. The only real big location is the city itself, and that's a bit of a shame. Because once that was over, and remember I asked ChatGPT just like a quick guesstimate, like how far am I? And I was still in the city, and it told me 60-65%. I was like, wait. So, the city makes like 70% of the game? Like, huh? The city plus the recycled police station makes like 70% of the game? Like, where are the other locations? You know, I don't know. I still think it's a good game, but I think it's the weakest one of the first 3. Also, remove the multiple campaigns. Resident Evil 1 had 2 campaigns that weren't that different, but still 2 separate campaigns that had their differences. 2 had 2 completely different campaigns and alternatives for both. 3 had none of that. You know, it's just it feels like a step down. It had the most beautiful backgrounds, the most beautiful pre-rendered backgrounds out of all the first 3 games. I was genuinely impressed at them. but overall I think it's the weakest one of the three. I would also place it in a B. Yeah, the first one I would place in a high B. The third one I would place like in the mid B ish. Definitely above 0, but below 1.
My personal favorite, Resident Evil. It's like RE2.
Okay, really personal favorite. Okay.
Know everything to say about it in such a short time span, but what I love in RE3 is everything. Great soundtrack, great environments, great characters. To a degree, some of the characters are a little throwaway, but I personally love all of them. I love Mikhail. I love Nikolai being the like side antagonist. Nemesis is my favorite character in the entire franchise, or my favorite enemy in the entire franchise. My favorite things about Resident Evil 3 are that you can fight Nemesis every time you see him, and each fight is insanely hard. The Nemesis fights early on are very difficult.
True, I never knew you can actually like fight him off. Did I fight him off the first? I'm pretty sure I tried and then gave up and tried to run away or something, or did I manage to fight him off? I remembered that taking a while though.
Do if you're not glitching him out. I have watched some gamer streamers play RE3, fight Nemesis at the RPD station, think it's going to be this easy thing, and they end up doing it for 2-3 hours, give up, and then look up the speed strat where you just glitch him into a wall. Why I love that it's that hard is because it gives you an amazing reward. You get the Eagle pistol, or parts of the Eagle pistol. Then you fight him again in the police station. Just a little less hard of a fight because you have either the Magnum or the grenade launcher at that point. Then you build the Eagle, and the game is free from that point. But I love that the game introduces you with 2 really hard fights right off the bat, and if you do them, it's like, here you go. You have earned this super overpowered weapon. Love that shit.
Okay, that sounds amazing. It just sounds like he just loves the game, and I love to see that. I said it multiple times, right, during this marathon. It's just, I love seeing people's passions. I love it when their eyes light up and they just can't stop talking about this one thing that they love. I love to see that.
And if you do it again, you get more and more rewards as you fight him. Love that. You can
play and they just keep talking about the little quirks of it. I love that shit. And also what he's describing right now with like the 2 insanely hard fights and then basically the rest of the game is free. That is cool. That's really cool.
Love that shit. And if you do it again, you get more and more rewards as you fight him. Love that. You can play through RE3 any way you want. You can go... There's 3 main areas: the pharmacy, the power station, and the gas station. And you can go to them in whichever order the player chooses, which is amazing. And if you choose to go, let's say, the gas station before the pharmacy, the cutscenes will swap around. Nemesis will show up in different areas. The game...
That is also really cool that the game is complicated like that. That's, for example, not something I knew, not something I would honestly know, because I just did one quick playthrough, right? That is really cool.
Will just change. The game has a ton of RNG, so every playthrough is different than your last playthrough. It's another thing I love about the game. It's a big reason why I speedrun the game for such a long time. And we'll probably still speedrun it till I'm freaking dead. But yeah, I love RE3.
Yeah, no, I love that. Everything is describing. I love that. And that would probably still below 2, but that would place it above 1 for me. I'm just basing it off of my 1 experience here in this marathon.
The downsides, by the way, before we move on, is the dodge system is janky as hell. The dodge system is like, if you play through RE3 and you think to yourself, man, I suck at this game. The dodge is so hard. The best players in the world can't do the dodge, like, consistently. They could do it better than a casual player, sure, but even the best in the world can't perform that dodge every time they want to, because it's just janky. That's all there is to it. But other than that, I love everything else. And the enemy variety. Love all the enemies in RE3. Oh, and the crafting system is god tier. Best crafting system in the whole franchise. Next up is CVX. All right, this one is really tough, guys. If you're new to the franchise, this one's gonna be something that you see chat going crazy for, and the YouTube comments are gonna go crazy for. This is a controversial one, and I have a lot to say about it.
I always thought... Skill issue? I always thought that Code Veronica is the truthful 3, and it objectively it is, right? But after playing it now, I do feel like it's good that it has this like half spin-off status. It is not a spin-off, it is a main title, but it's just kind of leaks below the other games. Maybe not leaks. I would put it also. I would also put it in like a B tier, probably above 0. Maybe not. Around the same level. I would have to think about it a bit more. It's sadly not as good as I remembered it and as I hoped it would be. It is very, very linear. I love how the areas are interconnected. How, like, in the beginning, you have, like, these 4 different areas and you kind of go between all of them all over the place. But there is only really one path. Like, the thing that he described about Resident Evil 3, where you can go to any of the 3 locations. Resident Evil 1 and 2 also had that to an extent with the keys that open multiple different doors. You kind of can choose where to go. Code Veronica doesn't have that. It only ever really has one predetermined path you can go. You only ever really get one key item. There are no real puzzles, maybe like 1 or 2 puzzles. It's an extremely long game for what it is. You can softlock yourself super easily, and I did. I was just lucky to have many save states. But if I hadn't, if I didn't, I would have had to restart the whole game, and it's super easy to softlock yourself. I just kind of avoided most softlocks because I like to think that I'm good at these classic survival horror games. But that's all pretty bad. Actually, now that I'm saying all this out loud, I would probably place it below 0, like easily below 0 actually, maybe even in a C. It's a shame. Because I really like it in concept. I love Claire. I love them. Her meeting with Chris saving her. I love the whole storyline with the Ashfords and everything. I like all that. Oh, and I hate Billy, not Billy. Steve. I hate Steve. Sorry, I keep wanting to call him Billy. If they remake this, please do better.
I'll talk about the. God, it's funny. I have so much to say about every other game, but RE2 and 3, it's just like, you know, I love them. All right, so CVX, it has many good things and many bad things. So CVX has easily one of the best soundtracks in the franchise. Everything is sounds like it's orchestrated, and it has many different songs, and they're all incredible. They all have.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't really pay attention to soundtracks, so this means nothing to me, but it's great. It's great that it has that.
It's almost like it almost feels like Banjo-Kazooie-esque, where there's a lot of songs that are samey that will transition into a new song, but you can hear previous beats from an older one. Love that. It has this theme going for it, and I love that. I love the soundtrack so much. I think it's one of the best soundtracks in the whole franchise. Okay. I love a lot of the boss fights. I love the weird, wacky characters like Albert and Alexia. Like Albert, Alexia, and Steve. People hate those characters. I love them. I love the creepy ass weird Steve, like just so insecure about everything just because of his past traumas, yada yada yada. I love wacky Albert, and I love wacky Lexi and the whole Ashford family. All the Wesker cutscenes in the game are hilarious. Well, they're not hilarious to you guys probably, but I love them. I think they're hilarious, and I just love everything about them. That's what I love about CVX. Just the wacky story, the amazing soundtrack, and the wacky characters.
That's amazing to hear.
So I will tell you guys why people dislike CVX, because I know exactly why people dislike it. Where these games aren't really controversial, CVX is very controversial in many different ways. So like I was talking with RE0, there are many points in CVX where you're playing through the game where player A will go this way and player B will go that way. If player A, let's assume they go the right way, and player B goes the wrong way, you are making your playthrough hours longer. You have less ammo, you have less heals, and you will most likely softlock on Plain Tyrant. Now let me ask, chat, ones in the chat if you've ever stopped playing at Plain Tyrant. Just curious. Maybe I'm crazy.
At Plain Tyrant? What is Plain Tyrant? Oh, the Plain Tyrant in the plane, that section. Oh, yeah. Oh my god. I remember the first time I played it, that was super hard. The second time I kind of figured it out, but yeah.
Okay, and there it is. And why that is because, similar to Zero, player A went the right way and had no trouble with Plain Tyrant. Player B went the wrong way and had a lot of trouble with Plain Tyrant because they walked by a bunch of enemies that they couldn't kill, that injured them on their way, or that they did kill and then ran out of the good ammo on Plain Tyrant. Let's say you got past Plain Tyrant. Already, you have these... And by the way, I know this because I'm one of those people. The first 24-hour marathon I ever did on my stream, I played Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and CVX. Except in CVX, I quit at Plain Tyrant, and I switched to RE3. So I went 1, 2, CVX, stopped at Plain Tyrant, and switched to RE3 because I wasn't having fun and I felt like I was soft locked. This is before I never played Resident Evil games at that point. Well, like casually I did. But that was the first time on stream that I was like, let's play some Resident Evil. So another major problem that CVX has, if you made it through that part, when you switch to Claire, or when you switch to Chris first, the game doesn't tell you. You play as Claire, you know
Exactly, that is the problem. The game doesn't tell you.
You're going to fight a boss, you take all your ammo out of the box, you go fight Nosferatu, and what does the game do? It switches your character. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's fine. How's that a problem? Well, if you brought everything to that boss fight, which most people probably did, because it's a Resident Evil game, you're going to fight a boss, bring the bullets and bring the weapons. When you switch to Chris and open the box, you realize, hey, wait, there's items in here. The game should have told the player that you were going to switch characters.
Yes.
Or better yet, the game should have taken Claire's inventory and put it in Chris's box or Chris's inventory. That just small
Or just have separate item boxes.
quality
That is what I would expect it to do. Just have separate item boxes.
of life is a major reason why people don't like the game. Now, I know you'll probably hear online about people like, I hate the story, I hate this or that. It is factual that your playthrough of the game is heavily altered by whether or not you took items out of the item box or left them in there for when you switch to Chris. And then the game does it again when you switch to Claire. So when you save Claire as Chris, you know what you're thinking? You're thinking to yourself, I'm not going to get stabbed again like I did last time. This time, I'm ready for it. I'm going to go back to the box before we switch to the main character of the game, Claire, the character you start as, and I'll put everything in the box for Claire, because you're going to play as her the rest of the game, obviously. She's the main character. You put all your stuff in the box, you switch back to Claire, you play as Claire, you go to the box, you take all Chris's stuff in your inventory now, and then you play for 5 minutes and you switch back to Chris, and Chris is in the middle of a boss fight when you switch back to him. That's bad game design. That is terrible game design. Like, all those things combined is just bad game design.
And they literally just had to tell you, hey, look, you're about to switch. You know, you might want to leave some items there. I think it's good the way it is, because I think it's interesting that the items you leave behind stay with the second character, because naturally in the real world scenario, you're not going to bring 5 different guns and 6 different ammo types. Yes, but the game never tells you that you're about to fight the final boss, for example, and so you take everything with you, and then Chris has nothing, like in my playthrough, and then you're at the final boss, and you can't do shit. And even worse, if you only have one save state, you have to restart the entire game because you're soft-locked. And it's extremely easy to soft-lock yourself. And literally the one thing they have to do to prevent that is tell players, hey, you're about to switch, you have a shared item box, pay attention. You might want to you might want to leave some stuff. That's it.
Through and through. You teach the player that leaving stuff in your inventory is bad. And then they don't do it the next time, and they're heavily punished for it. You throw them into a boss fight, and Chris is buck naked. He's got the knife. Like, that is 101 bad game design. And I'm not saying that, like, that's bad game design, therefore it's a C. I'm saying it's bad game design in terms of you see all the hate for Code Veronica online. I'm explaining to you why people don't like it. People don't like it because of these fundamental bad things in the game. Now, let's say that Capcom released a patch that was like, your items go into the box, and everyone that hated the game played through it again, they'd enjoy it more. Now, would they bring it from a D to an S? I don't know, maybe. But would they bring it from a C to a B? Or from a B to an A? Most likely, yeah. Because it's way more enjoyable when you don't get fucked over by the game. That's why people dislike CVX. And the wacky story people can't get behind too. But with gameplay fundamentals and stuff like that, or just gameplay in general, that is why people don't like CVX. For me, though, for me personally, like I said, I love the wacky story. This is tough. I love the wacky story, and like, here's the thing. Here's the major thing about CVX. CVX is like 0, and it's also like Tomb Raider 4. I first played Tomb Raider 4 2 years ago. I'm gonna cut this short. Don't worry. I hated it, but I knew in my mind, all the reasons I hated were CVX reasons. Silent Hill 4, the room reasons, where it's like, in the next playthrough, I won't make those mistakes. First playthrough could be like a C. Second and third playthrough, it's way better. It's way better when you don't get fucked. Like, you know, it's like, okay, booby trap, Capcom booby trap coming up, but I know about it. So you protect yourself. You put the items in the box, you give it to Chris. So it's a lot better of a game. I am giving it an A in that mindset, where I'm playing it again, for me, personally. Okay, this is a personal tier list for me. Again, why I have it here is
So far our lists are already pretty different. That's interesting.
Steve might be annoying, guys. He's fucking hilarious to me. Alfred and Alexia's storyline may piss you guys off because it shits all over canon and it completely changes the story and the narrative. For me, I find it hilarious.
But so does Resident Evil 4. Like, if you're gonna complain about it completely changes the story and narrative, yeah, so does 4, 5, 6 as well. Okay, 5 and 5 builds off of 4, but like, so does Resident Evil 4. So does Resident Evil 7. Like, come on.
I love that. Like, Alfred's laugh alone is an extra point in the tier list. Like, oh my god, the wackiness of that game. Father! Yeah, everything. All the memes that spawned from CVX. This is coming from someone who used to hate this game. If you talked to me 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'd put it here. But now I've warmed up to CVX. I think it's one of the better Resident Evil games. I really, really do enjoy it. B without Steve, A with Steve. There we go. All right, Resident Evil Survivor. Okay, so this is a game not a lot of people give a shit about, but I give
Survivor to me, God, I wanna give it a D, but if we split it off like this, like I did, based on 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, like god awful. In those terms, I kind of have to give Survivor like the lowest C ever. I would, in my head, it's like a 4 out of 10. Even though, like, just looking at the tier list, I want to give it a D. Can you give me D instead? Yes?
shit about it. Great things about Survivor. It's basically pick your own adventure. There are multiple parts in...
Yes, that's what I also said about Survivor. It has these branching paths, and that's cool.
In the game where you will reach a three-way path where you can go this way, that way, or that way. And depending on what way you go, it'll change future cutscenes similar to RE3, and you'll go a completely different area. So bare minimum, you want to play the game 3 times if you want to actually experience everything within the game, which to get your money's worth, you sort of have to, because I'm pretty sure it was a full price game when it came out, which is a bit of a scam.
Yeah, that like 2 hours is wild, and then like on the second, third playthrough, it's like an hour. Maybe you can also do harder difficulties as well. I don't know, but it's a super short game. If it was full price, that's wild.
The AI is horrible.
Yes, the story is actually surprisingly ambitious, but with that crappy voice acting, it's just, you know.
Story is it's not a good game, okay?
Yeah.
Let's just get this out of the way.
Yes.
But it's a funny game. I think it's hilarious. I love Ark. I love his voice.
Yeah, it's hilarious for maybe half its runtime, and the rest you're just kind of miserable.
Voice acting, his writing, the reveal where he remembers his friend Leon S. Kennedy, and he came here to investigate the Mr. X's. Love that. There's not much to say about Survivor. It's a subpar game with a subpar soundtrack and gameplay, but I really like it. Do I love it? Absolutely not. But do I think it is better than average? Yes. And I think it's primed for, if it ever got like a remaster or whatever.
But if you say better than average, I disagree with a C. Because you have 3 on top, you have 3 on the bottom. The middle would be the line between C and B. If you say above average, it would have to be a B, right?
Many other games that need a remake for Survivor. But I like Survivor a lot. I think it's a solid C. Every time I play through it, I enjoy myself. And that's what these rankings are for. My enjoyment. If you've never played...
I don't know, I was kind of miserable playing it, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I don't think it's a completely horrible game, but I just don't think it's a good one.
This, do I recommend you play it? No. But if you... Is it one of the better, like, spin-offs? Definitely. All right, guys. Resident Evil Survivor 2.
F. Honest. Oh, fuck. If I have to go by that, well, then it would be D. Like a low D. I hate that thing. But it is not like a 0 out of 10. It is not a... It's not Umbrella Corps, basically. Umbrella Corps would be an absolute F. Survivor 2, I hate, but I can't put it on the same level as Umbrella Corps. I would give it a super low D.
We'll go with D. It's a rehash of CVX that takes like 10 minutes. It's like it's an arcade game that got a port, and if you like spamming the shoot button while holding in the run button, you'll like the game. And it has a great song too. Can you hear it? All right, now for the irresistible Resident Evil Gaiden for the game.
Which I have not played for this marathon, and I have not... I don't remember... I think I tried to play it once, but it was just, like, a little too outdated for me. Maybe I would try... Maybe I could try it again.
Boy, where you play as Leon S. Kennedy and Barry Burton. I couldn't find a better song than this. But, alright, Resident Evil Gaiden. The game has an ear-piercing soundtrack for some... Okay, it's like the Genesis sound chip. To some people, it'll be like, oh hell yeah, and to others, you will pay them to turn it off. Gaiden, the enemies are cheap as hell. The combat is cheap as hell. You can soft lock yourself if you at the last boss, if you use too much ammo before it. If you don't know the gas launcher cheese, the game is 10 times harder. This game is a headache, but it has a god tier ending. I'm putting it at D, because I am getting a fucking headache right now, actually.
And it's not canon. It's Game Boy. What are you expecting? Hey, there's some really good Game Boy games. Come on.
Alright.
Also, that leaked Resident Evil port for Game Boy Color.
Alright, guys.
That actually looked surprisingly good.
Resident Evil Remake. Resident Evil Remake. In my opinion, this is...
I mean, there are also... I mean, none of the Game Boy songs, I think, sound actually, like, really good from today's perspective because of their limitations. But they don't have to use all those disgusting sounds that one did, right? If you don't like it, don't play it. You're just trying to showcase the game's music.
The definition of survival horror. If any one of your friends...
Oh yeah, Resident Evil 1 Remake. As a remake S tier, one of the best remakes ever made. As a game on its own, I would probably... I would be torn between a low S and a super high A.
Or anyone that you know is like, what's a good survival horror game I could play? Resident Evil Remake is the definition of survival horror. It is everything survival horror should be. The mansion is like one big puzzle box.
That is actually true. The way he's explaining it right now, I agree. It is basically the quintessential survival horror game. I agree.
Every single thing you pick up, every single button you touch is connected to something else. It is a genius game. It improved in RE1 in every way, shape, and form, but at the same time, it honored everything about RE1 as well. It's the perfect remake, in my opinion, where there are some cheesy lines in RE1 that are just ridiculously stupid. Takes the cheesy lines, keeps them intact, but just alters the wording a little. It alters the emphasis on some words, and it's perfect. Like,
yeah.
They respect...
And it does that kind of thing with everything RE1 did, and just improves it in every way. It is incredible. It's an incredible remake.
Everything about the OG. They respect the soundtrack, the writing. They even don't even they still don't even have a canon ending. They didn't even fix that there was no
unlike RE3 remake. Well, yeah.
Canon ending in the first RE game. Like, they respected everything. And on top of that, here's what makes a great remake. The stuff they added is arguably the best stuff in the game. That whole extra lore with Lisa and traveling outside to her cabin and learning all that stuff about her.
Best stuff in the game might be debatable, but it is seriously good. And again, Lisa's backstory is I do believe the most tragic story of any Resident Evil character, period.
And her family is possibly the best stuff in the game. You want to know what else is one of the best things in the game? The Crimson Heads, which aren't in RE1 OG. The stuff they added.
I feel so sorry for her. Yeah, it's incredible. Crimson Heads are an addition that I don't mind. I don't love. I love them in concept, but in execution, well, it's just because I know the game well enough that I can just kind of avoid them, kind of like run through the game more or less. But yeah, on the first playthrough, if you don't have much experience with survival horror, especially, yeah, absolutely.
Remaking a beloved classic, and the stuff people love the most are the new things. That's how you fucking remake a game.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that is why I always go on rants about RE2 Remake and RE3 Remake, because Resident Evil 1 Remake honored everything
Yes.
and added to it. That
Yes.
is the point of a remake.
Yes.
You take something that has...
Well, that is not necessarily the point of a remake. For example, the Crash Bandicoot remake trilogy is fantastic. They did add, I think, 2 bonus levels. One that was in the original game files, but not in the actual game, and one completely original one, but everything else is just basically the same games, but new. And it's also a fantastic remake, especially there's 3 games in one, basically. Same with the Spyro trilogy. But this is what differentiates a fantastic remake from basically a masterclass, a masterpiece of a remake. Honestly, possibly the best remake ever made, if you just take it as a pure remake in comparison to the original, not as a game on its own.
Aged badly, that is virtually unplayable to like Zoomers nowadays. They play it and they just couldn't play it because...
Or maybe that's what differentiates from a great remake from a fantastic one, I guess I should have said.
Graphics, whatever. And you make it playable and you make it better. You take the bad parts and you make them better. And Resident Evil 1 Remake did that with everything.
Yes.
The graphics were better. The soundtrack was better. The
graphics are so much better, it's not even comparable.
Everything was improved, and the new stuff was the best shit. People don't know this. Resident Evil Remake is on the GameCube, and it...
Remake's job is to improve and innovate on its original, not to pull back from it. Improve, yes. Innovate, well, in the sense that it's meant to update it to the modern landscape, to modern audiences. It is not a remake's job to add onto the experience. That is just something that some developers, like the Resident Evil 1 remake developers, chose to do. Like the Resident Evil 4 remake developers chose to do to make the game even better. But yeah, the job of a remake, in my opinion, is to update it for modern audiences.
The remake got remastered.
That's also why I find The Last of Us remake kinda pointless. Why not just remaster it? Gaming as a whole hasn't changed enough to warrant a Last of Us remake, in my opinion. A remaster would have done. A remaster, because the original product is still, as far as I'm aware, still feels modern enough. A remake, in my opinion, should update the pre-existing game to make it appeal to modern audiences as well.
On current gen. So a lot of people, I'm not kidding guys, I've taken polls, I've talked to chat about this, and I've been on the internet a long time. A lot of people think Resident Evil Remake came out a few years ago, like whenever the remaster came out, 2016 or whatever, 2015, 2016. No, it came out on GameCube, then it got remastered later. God tier game, not much else to be said. Now I'm gonna tell you guys about a not so god tier game.
Yeah, I would Dead Aim probably also see kind of next to above Survivor, definitely above Survivor, but not that far above Survivor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Resident Evil Dead Aim.
Last of Us is on 4 platforms: PS3, PS4 update, 5 remake, then PC. Yeah, but why remake it? Same with Dead Space, but I guess the Dead Space remake was super successful, but I mean, there was a very noticeable leap, I guess. Maybe there was also with The Last of Us, maybe I'm just not seeing it. But I also don't feel the Dead Space remake was necessary either. Not enough time has passed. Yes, the graphics are updated, but the gameplay can't really be that much updated. Maybe it is in some little ways, but it can't be that much because, yeah.
Starring Bruce McGilvern. This game. So, Resident Evil... Next up is Resident Evil Dead Aim. You move in third person and you fight in first person. It is very strange. The game is super low budget.
It is strange, but it feels pretty good when you actually play it. It feels appropriate.
It does introduce...
Also keep in mind, it is part of the Survivor series.
Some new enemies and some new lore to the franchise. The main character, Bruce, is just a budget Leon S. Kennedy. The side character, Bruce is just a budget Leon S. Kennedy. The side character, Fong Ling, is just a budget Ada Wong. But I like it. I think it's fun. Oh, and the main virus turns the male antagonist into a female antagonist. So it's polarizing. Yeah, Dead Aim, there's not much to say. It's just a cheap RE game that it's just okay. Oh, just before we move on, the cutscenes, some of the cutscenes are hilarious. Like there's one where he's like, oh, did you get my money? $50 billion or some shit. I don't know. All right, let's just move on.
Okay.
All right. Strap in, everybody. Strap in. I'm going to review both of these games like they're the same game because they basically are.
They do have differences, though. Like, it was meant to be one game. I know it is meant to be basically the same, but when you actually play them, there are differences. Gameplay improvements in the second one, as well as a more focus on actual survival horror, whereas the first one was a little all over the place with its chapters, with its tone. I don't know. Like, for me personally, I would put Outbreak 2 above 1. Not by much, but I would put it above 1. They both would go in B to me, for me, by the way. Above 0, and then 2 above 1.
Scroll to this point in the video, you might be thinking, wow, because you said that, I don't trust your opinion. Outbreak is one of my favorite games of all time, and I am super conflicted on where to put it, because this is the game I have the most to say about, so if you don't care, scroll.
Interesting, because for me, of course, all my rankings are based on my personal experience during this playthrough, as well as, of course, my past experiences with them, but mostly I'm trying to keep it to this playthrough during this marathon. And the Outbreak games are the only ones that I've played so far and will probably play that I'd never played before.
Ahead. Resident Evil Outbreak is an...
So it really is just my first impression.
Online game for the PS2. I played it when it came out, actually. My oldest brother had a job. He had a PS2. He had a modem for the PS2. He had an Ethernet cable to connect to our router to play the game online.
That's insane.
The problem. I can't remember the year this game came out.
Imagine it came out in 2003 and 2004, like the two respectively. Imagine playing this online back in the day on the PS2 back in 2003. That's insane.
But what I do remember is me having internet in general is a rarity. But having internet plus an Ethernet cable plus a modem to play Outbreak was an extreme rarity. A lot of people that reviewed Outbreak, critics that reviewed Outbreak, reviewed it as an offline game. That's nuts, because offline, this game is not the greatest. Online, it's like nothing you can ever find in any other game. So anyway.
Honestly, in a way I agree, because I also played it offline, but I did play the first chapter of the first game online earlier this year, and it does have a very different vibe. It has a completely different energy when you work together. You're trying to figure it out together, especially the first attempt. The first 2 or so attempts before we died, we didn't even know what to do, how the game plays. Like, we needed to figure everything out. Panic sets in, like all the zombies are there, and oh my god. I imagine being an incredible experience. So this, of course, my ranking of B, of like a low-ish B, above 0, is based on a single-player experience. I can see it being much higher on if you actually play it in co-op.
This game is super far ahead of its time. Outbreak was released to console too early. That's basically what I'm trying to say. It would have done way better, and it would have been considered a classic if it came out on PS3. Here are the bad things about Outbreak. The AI, which is offline, the load times, which is due to the PS2, no voice...
Load times, I agree. AI wasn't even that bad, honestly, in my experience.
Communication. You have to communicate. This is one of my favorite parts, though. This is where I'm conflicted. So there was no voice communication. You had to use the character. You had to take the stick and say thank you, or press this way to say help me, or press down to say come here, or press up. And players can only hear you if they're one room away or something along those lines.
Okay, that is also interesting. I would expect just to stay on the phone or something. I did it with my friend on Discord. But this sounds interesting. This honestly sounds cool.
People would rather be able to talk, like proximity voice, like Lethal Company or Friday the 13th or whatever else. And I think that's a great thing too. But it came out on the PS2. Now I'm aware some games on PS2 did have that. Maybe SOCOM had that. I'm not sure. But Outbreak did need that to be that.
And I mean, it sounds cool as like this old nostalgic tech way, not in an actual practical sense, because practically yeah, true. He's saying, yeah, it's not the best practically for the game.
better game. This game has one of the best stories. It explains everything about Raccoon City. All the stuff you don't hear about in RE1, 2, and 3 tells you. And Outbreak explains it within its notes and within playing through all the scenarios of the game. It has an amazing soundtrack. It has one of the best, or some of the most replayable scenarios and replayability in the franchise.
Yes, absolutely, because there is a lot to see and to collect and stuff, but of course you don't know any of that in the beginning. And there are many different ways to approach them as well. Some of them are pretty open, thinking of the zoo one right now, the first one in the second game.
Is like 70 unlockable characters. Each character that you unlock.
Wait, seven? Wait. I didn't know there are unlockable characters. I knew there are unlockable things in general, but I didn't know it was characters. That sounds super interesting. Look, these are things I didn't know, and that would honestly, like, on an objective level, elevate the game, because there is just tons of content and tons of replayability. I can agree. I would be down to replay it. With, Resident Evil 1, he described it himself as kind of like a puzzle box game. The mansion is one big puzzle box, which is what survival horror set pieces should really be, but, the mansion is one of the most iconic ones, if not the most iconic one, honestly. Next to Silent Hill, probably. And of course, there are different ways to approach the first game, but these two games combined have 10 scenarios that you can approach in all approach in different ways, and they're all kind of short, within about an hour each, sometimes a little shorter, sometimes a little longer, but overall I would say average of like 57 minutes, so let's say an hour. And you can replay them endlessly, also with different friends, also with multiple people, with up to 4 people, right? And just try out different things, try to go for 100% difficulties, and so on. This might be the one single-player / co-op game in the Resident Evil franchise with the most content. Well, I mean 6. Okay, 6 also has tons of content, but I mean also in terms of replayability and all. RE1 A tier? Blasphemy? Where would you put it?
Characters. Each character that you unlock has different statistics, and they're a different class archetype to other characters.
Wait, what?
In the franchise, there is like 70 unlockable characters. Each character that you unlock has different statistics, and they're a different class archetype to other characters. It has
Right. Funny, also mentioned the one person who is very much into Outbreak, who joined me during the Outbreak section of this stream, that the characters also interact in different ways with the AI characters. Some characters have good energy, they will help each other. Some characters have bad energy, they will abandon each other. Apparently there are tons of characters that all have their interconnectedness, they're all their interactions. They all have their own like little special item that may or may not be useful. There are also items scattered around the game that if you manage to get out of the chapter with those, they probably give you extra points or something. It has tons of content, tons of replayability. Outbreak might be the one single game that you could spend the most time with, potentially. A lot of them have a lot of content, but Outbreak is definitely up there. Again, this like low-ish B is just based on my personal single-player playthrough that I only did once.
Ton of unlockables, and I love unlockables. It's my favorite thing in classic games like Time Splitters. Man, playing through the challenges in Time Splitters and seeing that you unlocked a new character to play as with all these different statistics and these different voice actors playing all their lines.
It's honestly such a shame that games don't really do that anymore on a large scale. Of course, many games still do. Still do have tons of unlockables and create tons of replayability through that. For example, there is an entire genre built around that, roguelikes. But on a large scale, it feels like games don't really do that anymore, and that's such a shame. Instead, they would put out DLCs or something, with alternative outfits, instead of putting that out as an unlockable to incentivize players to actually play your game more, instead of only ever thinking about money.
Love that stuff, and Outbreak did that so well. If this game ever got a remake, if this game got a remaster, I'm not saying it would be massive on Steam or on PS5 or Xbox, but if it got a remaster similar to the Tomb Raider remasters, where they made the load times instant, they improved the online functionality, they added...
I was about to say, the Tomb Raider remaster? Yeah, of course he's talking about the trilogy, yeah. Oh my god, I was like, wait, the 2013 one is not a remaster. Yeah, okay.
Proximity voice communication. They added more characters, more scenarios. This game would be pretty damn big. Outbreak Outbreak, if it came out on PS3, I would say it would end like better load times, voice communication, online like everyone.
The load times are the main thing that's annoying to me. Yeah, it's cool. You enter a new room and the load time is probably the same as the door opening animation, but there is no door opening animation. It's just a black screen, and that makes it feel so much longer. And when you have to go, like some of these areas have, like the hospital one, for example, it's just tons of small rooms and you have load times. It feels like you have more load times than gameplay in some cases, and that's a shame.
Had the internet, everyone had online like a modem, easy yes. But as it stands, like it had all these problems coming out. This is one of my most played games, by the way. I'm not gonna put Outbreak on there because I like File 2 more. Like critically, it's so hard to put it in A, but personally, it's one of my favorites. There are some things I dislike about Outbreak, let's be real. But, oh, another thing. All right, I talked about remastering the game, and it would do really well, which it would. It would do very, very, very well on Steam, because like I said, it's a game like no other game. You can't get the Outbreak experience without Outbreak. I also think it's prime for a remake. If they remade this game in the RE engine, they could give one character class like Kevin, Jill's role. They could give another character class Leon's parry. It would be perfect for a remake. But
I agree.
here's why they won't remake it anytime soon. And
Because it wasn't successful.
It would be a bad remake, probably. There is so much content in Outbreak that your head would spin. Remember when we talked about how Resident Evil took everything and made it better, and they didn't miss a beat, right? There's no way they could do that in the RE engine with Outbreak. Like they.
Yeah, I mean they already didn't do that with 2 and 3 remakes. 4 also took everything 4 original did and just expanded it. But 2 and 3 already also cut a lot of stuff out. They also changed a lot of stuff, especially 2 added a lot of stuff as well, but they also cut a lot of stuff out. Making for a very different, but about equally long, maybe only slightly longer experience, but while cutting a lot of stuff out. And that is a shame that they do that. They can do it. I disagree with him on here. They can do it. They have proven it with RE4 Remake. Oh shit, I restarted the video. When did this video come out? A year ago, so RE4 Remake was out by the time this came out. I disagree with him on this. They could do it, but they're probably not gonna. And if they're gonna remake it, they're gonna turn everything into DLCs. Because that's just how gaming works nowadays. And that's a shame.
On Steam or on PS5 or Xbox. But if it got a remaster similar to the Tomb Raider remasters, where they made the load times instant, like everyone had the internet, everyone had on. If it came out on PS3, I would say it would end like better load times, voice communication, online like everyone had the internet, everyone had online like a modem, easy yes. But as it stands, like it had all these problems coming out. This is one of my most played games, by the way. I'm not gonna put Outbreak on there because I like File 2 more. Like critically, it's so hard to put it in A, but personally, it's one of my favorites. There are some things I dislike about Outbreak, let's be real. But, oh, another thing. All right, I talked about remastering the game, and it would do really well, which it would. It would do very, very, very well on Steam.
I agree.
Like I said, it's a game like no other game. You can't get the Outbreak experience without Outbreak. I also think it's prime for a remake. If they remade this game in the RE engine, they could give one character class like Kevin.
But honestly, a remaster I don't think would be as successful as a remake. They have to remake it.
Jill's role. They could give another character class Leon's parry. It would be perfect for a remake. But here's why they won't remake it anytime soon, and here's why it would be a bad remake, probably. There is so much content in Outbreak that your head would spin. Remember when we talked about how Resident Evil took everything and made it better, and they didn't miss a beat, right? There's no way they could do that in the RE engine with Outbreak. Like, they missed beats with RE2 Remake. They missed 80% of the game with RE3 Remake. They nailed it with RE4 for the most part. But with Outbreak, dude, there's too much. There's no way they would make 80 playable characters, all with different statistics, all with different voice actors. There's no way they'd do that. I love the game, but it has its problems.
There is no way they would, but they can. They could, realistically, but they're probably scared of repeating their mistakes with the originals, which were just not successful enough to warrant even a third game that was originally planned. But they could. I firmly believe they could if they tried, if they really wanted to.
We'll just add them here. I like File 2 more than File A. It's hard to put it in A because it does have significant problems. It does. I'm thinking of it on the HD on the I play it on an HD loader on emulator, so load times are super fast and everything works as it's supposed to work, and it looks really good too. But if you're playing this on PS2 how it's supposed to be played,
which I did,
it's not good. It's not
and
pretty.
yeah, I agree, it's not great.
I do love
with
these
the loading
games,
times.
though, don't get me wrong. And that's why at the first of the video I told people not to scroll to the end, because you might think I don't like Outbreak. I fucking love Outbreak. If it gets remastered, please, Capcom.
Wait, that
please
is
remaster.
that is so dumb. I hate that people, well, not him specifically, but I hate that people think this way. This black and white thinking of like, if it's not an S tier, it's bad. You know, basically that then the person just hates it. If it's not an F tier, it's automatically good or something. You know, just because it's a B tier doesn't mean he dislikes it. B is still a positive rating. It is still above the middle. It's still above, definitely above mediocre, which is positive. Just because it's a B doesn't mean he hates it. What the hell?
This, please. It's my biggest. If I were to pick anything to happen with future REs, it'd just be to bring Outbreak back. I don't care in what form. Remaster, remake, port. Literally, just put it on Steam and make it online. That's it. Because it's a goddamn shame that people look at this game like it's here and here, and
It is generally such a shame that they don't put out these older games. Why not? Just let us also have the originals on Steam. Why don't you like money? They literally put out 2 and 3 the originals on PS5 a week or so ago, a few days ago. Why not also the original? Why not also on Steam? Just put them out for like $5 each. Make like a triple pack for 10. Why not? Why do you? Well, it's just free money. I just don't like the way people take those kinds of lists as fact when they're obviously just opinions. That too. GOG is better anyway. Well, yes, true, but Steam is more popular. That's why I'm saying, because if anything, the big publishers would care about Steam more than GOG, right? Imagine having 8 players on that game. I know. No, it was up to 4 players, right? You just had 8 characters to choose from in the beginning. I think 8 would be too much as well. It would be overkill for what Outbreak is. 4 I'm already thinking might be a little much. Like 2, maybe 3, but 4 already might be a little much, honestly. Time Splitters is a game I want to come back. I've never played it, sadly.
in reality, they're so good. But like these little things ruin it. Okay, Fellerinos. Next up.
Oh, Deadly Silence. Okay, the DS one. Okay. Didn't know he would include that one too. In case you don't know, Deadly Silence is the Nintendo DS version of the first game, but there are enough differences for it to be its own thing, and people call it the definitive version of the first game. Deadly Silence has to be at least A or else. Deadly Silence is an interesting case because it changes a lot. It is the same game, essentially, but it changes a lot. Enemy placements are changed, there are more enemies, you get much more ammo. It like lures you in with this overabundance of ammo that you get. And so you're like, okay, this game is easier, and zombies also die from like 2 shots or something. Heads explode left and right. There are more zombies around, but you just think, okay, you know, this is just an easier version. Okay, cool, it showers me with ammo, I'll just blast them all with it. Until you realize you run out halfway through, and you have to restart the entire game, like I did. It lures you in with pretending to be easy. And overall, I still found it pretty easy once I adapted to these things and didn't kill every zombie, didn't waste all my ammo. You know, I had to adapt a little. It is largely still the same game, but it has this kind of different feeling in which you get a lot of ammo in the beginning and then later there's just none at all, basically. And personally, I have to say it was a cool experience, it was an interesting experience, but I liked the original experience more, that felt more balanced overall. Now the thing is, Deadly Silence adds a lot of quality of life improvements. It is the Nintendo DS version, so it looks more limited, it looks worse. But it's fine because it was a small screen, right? So whatever. But it has quality of life improvements. Like, for example, the DS has 2 screens. That means the other screen shows the map at all times, with your real-time position as well marked. Not just the room, but your actual real-time position marked on the map at all times. It was a little annoying to open the other floors of the map, but the map that you were on at the moment was always visible to you. And when you pick up a map, of course, everything gets revealed, if not only the rooms that you're in. Amazing. You always see your ammo, how much ammo you have in your pistol. You always have that. You always see that, which ammo is equipped. I mean, you also see that on your character, but there's a little icon. You know, quality of life improvements like this. Amazing. But overall, due to this not as balanced approach, but plus the quality of life improvements, I would probably put it similarly to original, but slightly below it, because I just still prefer playing the original. Now the thing is about Deadly Silence, that what I described just now is the all-new original so-called rebirth mode. The original game is also included with all those quality of life improvements. So you basically have both options with all the quality of life improvements, elevating this game to, yes, I agree, the definitive version to play RE1. And yes, easily above it. Easily. Two completely different game modes, of course, both of them with both campaigns. Well, not completely different, but like with these alterations. Both also with both campaigns. Like the full games. Yes. It is the definitive version to play RE1, I think. And yes, I agree, it is at least A. RE1 for me is a B. Deadly Silence would be an A.
We have Resident Evil Deadly Silence. So, this is a port of RE1 to the DS. But wait.
I would argue, well, is it a port or a remake? Technically. I guess it is the same game, but was it...
It's more than a port. It actually adds a ton of content. Resident Evil Deadly Silence is RE1 but better.
Yes.
It adds a quick turn. It adds...
Okay, I don't care about the quick turn personally.
Functionality with the stylus touching...
Right, there are also in the rebirth mode, there are also new gameplay mechanics that have to do with the stylus, new puzzles as well, that were also added that make sense in the game world, but that use the touchscreen and are just new puzzles. So it also has more content in the rebirth mode. I don't know about the original game. I didn't play it. I only played the rebirth mode, but it also adds more content. Yes.
You could poke Jill's butt and she'll go, oh. You could poke...
Wait, that I didn't know. I didn't try that. What the hell? That's so cool.
Chris's hair and he'll go, oh. Each save
That is so cool. So much attention to detail.
room has a little puzzle box in it that you can solve. Love that. Some of the cutscenes were changed. Cutscenes are
That I don't know.
skippable. Doors
Skippable cutscenes, door animations are skippable. True.
are skippable. Enemy AI is altered, so it's not as cheap as it was in the original game, even
That I didn't know.
though they didn't do a great job at that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that at all. Felt the same to me.
But Resident Evil Deadly Silence is essentially RE1, but better. Here's the confliction, and here's why I put it lower.
I mean, you can't poke Chris's butt. I don't know. Maybe you can. Feel free to try it out.
Soundtrack doesn't hit as hard for me. You know, the graphics are different. The animations are different. And different, when thinking of a game that's fueled by nostalgia, isn't always the best thing.
I see what he means. I can see that. I guess it's... I can see what he means. And to me, even though I literally just said that Deadly Silence is the definitive version, I agree with that. I would probably still, if I picked RE1 back up, I would probably still play the original version, the PlayStation version, and I wouldn't even know why. But it might be that it just feels ever so slightly different with the animations and stuff. And yeah, and this nostalgic feeling of the original animations could be that subconsciously.
So for a classic fan like myself, I don't like Deadly Silence as much as I like Resident Evil 1, because that nostalgia isn't there for Deadly Silence.
I honestly need to play 1 and Deadly Silence's original 1 mode back to back, at least a little bit, just to see how different it really feels. Because again, I only played the rebirth mode.
And it doesn't feel like my RE1, you know what I mean? But as a game, it's RE1 but better. That's just what it is. There's an extra mode called Rebirth Mode, where there's like these RNG first-person like knife fights with zombies and hunters and lickers. There's extra boss fights. There's extra content in general. There's an extra mode where you can...
Wait, extra boss fights? Right, the one boss fight against the snake. They added another boss fight against the snake. If you... Okay, but that was bullshit, where you have to go back and the game never tells you that. That was bullshit in the rebirth mode. but then you go back to pick up that item, and you get another boss fight against the snake that uses the touch controls, the knifing exclusively. So they added a new boss with the new mechanics.
Battle off enemies in this level, like 5 levels that you fight a boss, like FPS arena thing. And then you can play RE1 with your friends online. I haven't tried that, but I think it's just like you play through certain rooms of the game together. Also, one hilarious thing, they changed Richard's voice acting. Remember the guy that goes, ouch? And it's worse. They got a new voice actor for one of the worst voice actors in the franchise, and he's worse. Like, how does Capcom pick him?
Somehow I didn't notice that, but that's funny.
Jesus.
Rebecca, be careful.
Next up is Resident Evil 4.
Ooh, 4 for me is an S tier. To me, so far, 4 is a top 3 game. I would probably, honestly, so far, my top 3. And this might be a little controversial, also considering what I have said before, not today, but in general before. But after replaying them back to back, I would place the remake below the original. The remake would be the 3rd place. Because, yes, every change they did was to either make the game scarier or longer, or both. Yes, but the game is so much longer that it feels like a little too much. If I now had to choose between the original or the remake to replay, I would choose the original. The original felt so much shorter than it was. I played through that thing, I didn't even realize it was evening already. It took me like 12 hours or so to beat, right? In-game. I swear it felt like 6, if not 5 or so. With the remake, you feel the length more, or at least I did. I felt the length more. So not only do I feel the length more, but it is also longer at the same time. Meaning it feels significantly longer. And I don't know, it is an amazing, it is an incredible remake, but I feel like it kind of hurts itself by trying to add so much instead of just staying true to the original. And yeah, I love the horror focus changes. In the village where in the original you had this one little section of the village where you had like 3 buildings and you see everything in that farmhouse. And then in the remake you go to that same area and the buildings are pretty tall and you don't see anything. And it's gloomier, darker, increasing the horror. Loved those changes, all of those. But especially later on, it changes so many things also to make the game longer to the point where it's just a little too much, honestly. Well, not too much. I would still place it on my overall number 3. My ranking, my top 3 would be 2 remake on 1, then 4 original, then 4 remake. That's what my top 3 would be. But I mean just in comparison to 4 original. 4 original somehow manages to feel so much shorter than this. 4 remake also does, but not as much, and is also longer than original, you know?
Might be a controversial take, but I think it's S tier. It's a controversial.
How is that controversial?
Take for classic purists, and it's the most.
For classic purists, those. Before I say anything, let me go grab my tea, and then just continue with the video. I feel like the cheesy voice acting on the original game was part of its charm. Many people say that, and I also find it funny. But I honestly think it would be better without that. I genuinely think it would be a better game, in my opinion, if it was completely serious. Like, yes, the cheesy voice acting, everything, yeah, it's funny, blah, blah, but it completely clashes with the serious tone of it. I don't know.
Base take for the action purists. I love RE4. I loved it when I was a kid. I love it now. Yeah, there's not much to say. Leon is the biggest Chad in this game. The gameplay is super tight. The enemies are unforgettable. Man, I hear those ganados in my freaking sleep.
Well, yeah, with their chants and stuff, yeah.
I don't need to rant about the great things in RE4. You guys.
Honestly, RE4 might have, like, overall the most memorable enemies. Of course, the classic zombies, yeah, cool, but other than that, like, RE4 also has different enemy types, right? Well, they dress differently, like, some of them have, in their military outfits later on, some of them have the hoods, some of them are the villagers, you know, with its amount of different enemy types, I feel like it has the most memorable ones. Like, what does one have? It has zombies that are super memorable. The Tyrant at the end I don't find memorable. Hunters, maybe? 2. Lickers. Okay, cool. Okay, Mr. X is memorable if you get to see him, which you only do in your second playthrough, in the original, I mean. 6. Which memorable enemies are there? Are any of them really memorable? Yeah, cool, the spider leg guys are cool, and there are plenty of different varieties, but are any of them, like, super memorable? I feel like 4 has some of, if not the most memorable enemies. Regular take as well. I'm just a big fan of cheesy B horror movies like Return of the Living Dead or the original PS1 Resident Evil felt like that in video game form. Yeah, maybe I just haven't seen much of that cheesy horror. Like Return of the Living Dead, I don't think I've ever seen. I wanted to watch it for a while, but I don't think I ever have. Or, yeah.
You guys know what's awesome in RE4, most of you do. And like, you know, it's one of the most beloved Resident Evil games. But here's the thing I always find funny, and let me know in the YouTube comments, or let me know on Twitch right now or YouTube right now if you can agree with me. I don't feel like this anymore, but when I used to play through the game multiple times, like, you know, just casually, every time I got to most areas in this game, I would either think to myself or say out loud, "Oh, I fucking hate this part coming up."
No. Not a single time. There was that one part where Ashley has to go on both sides, like on top, and like turn these things to open up the bridge, to like raise the bridge or whatever. And that I remember that one because I died so many times there in both games, not in this playthrough, but previously in both versions of the game, in the original and the remake. That is one I remember vividly, and it wasn't even that hard. But that is one whenever I see it coming, I'm like, oh no. You know, but that is the only one.
And I say it for like every second room. I'm thinking to myself, or I used to, think to myself like, I fucking hate this room. I fucking hate this part. And it's so weird because like, what's your favorite game? Resident Evil 4. And then someone's watching you play it and you're over there like, I fucking hate this part. Like, it's only an RE4 thing. I don't know what the magic is, or like,
I don't have that.
There's some spell cast on the game that even though the player fucking hates every single area, they love the game for some reason.
League players.
But
is there an overlap between League players and RE4 players?
Like, am I alone here? Every time I used to play it, I fucking hate this part coming up. And then you get through it, and you'd say it again in chat, be like, didn't you just say you hated the last part and the last part and the last part? It's like, yeah, I fucking hate those parts, but this next part though, oh my god, it's so much worse. Love RE4. You know, it's a classic. It's what made this franchise go from niche to mainstream, which spawned every other game. So
I mean, well, yes, but which spawned every other game. But I mean, there were already plenty of games before RE4. It's not like 4, like, you know, started the franchise or anything. There were already plenty of games before. But yes, of course, 4 was like the breakthrough success, I guess.
Thank you, RE4. And also, because of RE4, it made RE5 and 6 and almost killed the franchise. So thank you, RE4. You.
Also, very true. We have RE4 to blame for that. RE4 is one of the best games in the franchise, but also the one that caused the worst of the franchise.
Now, here's one that people...
This,
I would say, of all the mainline games, this one is the most conflicted. Resident Evil 5, by the way. When I played Resident Evil 4 as a kid, it was a horror game still. The Ganados scared the hell out of me.
as a kid, I can see that, but it's like a horror action game. I would describe RE4 as a horror action game. It has its moments, but it also has lots and lots of action.
Regenerators, Novies, it all scared me. RE4 was a scary game as a kid, and the horror was still at its peak in RE4 original. RE5 is when the horror said bye-bye.
Yes. And in 6, they kind of almost tried to bring it back, especially in Dion's campaign. But 5 was a pure action game.
An action game. It's an action game with elements of horror. You're still blowing off heads and there's still scary enemies and stuff, but...
You're still blowing off heads, yes, but the game shies away from actually showing you blowing off heads. It feels like they just disappear. There's no, like, blood or anything. No chunks flying around, like in 6 or in 4. Good is my opinion on that. Yeah, you can hate that part. You have that part you don't like, but it's a consistent. You can't just get through it. Wonder what is you're doing wrong with that, but like, I feel like that's not what he's saying though. It's like it is fun to hate on that. I think he's saying like, you know, oh my god, I hate that part. It's like me playing The Binding of Isaac. I love that game. I have over 2,000 hours in it. How many by now? 2,173.9. Okay, 2,200 hours in it. I love the game. But with like 90% of the bosses, I'm like, oh fuck, not this guy. With like many of the rooms, of the room types, there are plenty of types of rooms. Whenever I enter them, I'm like, oh shit, not this kind of room. But I love the game. Yes, I can get through it. It's not like a skill thing that I hate it because I can't get through it. It's just like this frustration of like, fuck, I actually have to think now, you know? I can't just mindlessly blast through it, you know? Fuck, it's this kind of boss. Fuck, it's this kind of room. You know, I think it's more like that.
The scary enemies show up for a split second, and you just blow their head off in a rapid pace too. The game is controversial because up to this point, we have talked about a horror franchise. Okay?
What's Survivor? Already Survivor 2? Already very debatable.
Every game on this list besides RE5 is a horror game. This
I disagree with that on Survivor and Survivor 2, and also to an extent on RE4.
is an action game. And this is really when the community was super split. This is my tier list. This is my opinion. So I'll share it. I love this game. I think it's great. I think it's one of the best co-op games ever made.
And that is the thing. That's what everyone says. And that when you play it in single player, you are miserable. I played it in single player. I was miserable. Eventually, I got used to it and kind of had some fun with it. Enough fun to play through it without complaining too much. Still complaining, just not like, you know, outraged all the time. But that's just because I got used to the shittiness, not because the gameplay got any better or anything. Yes, maybe it is a super fun co-op game. And I have yet to experience it in co-op. But based on my experience right now, I would put it in D. Below Survivor? Mid at best. Maybe, I think I'm exaggerating. Mid at best, it would be a C.
Ever made. I think playing RE5 with a friend is one of the best experiences you can have playing a video game.
It just feels too high. Off the top of my head, I would just say D. But if we actually weigh the pros and cons, I think it's overall it is a C. It just feels like a D, you know. And I think realistically, 6 is not an F. It just feels like an F. You know what I mean? Realistically, 6 would probably be a D. And then Umbrella Core, oh, it's not here anymore, it's probably behind his face. Umbrella Core would be an easy F. Unless 6 is actually somehow worse than Umbrella Core. I'm actually kind of divided on that right now. I need to replay Umbrella Core.
With a friend. But I also think playing solo can be one of the most frustrating experiences you can have playing.
Yeah, because of the AI is what everyone says, but I didn't even have that many problems with the AI. Probably because I played on normal. During the last chapter, I started raging at the AI. Yes. And on the harder difficulties, I can imagine that really screwing you over. But for the most part, on normal difficulty, I didn't have any problems with the AI. It was the game itself that I think is flawed.
Playing a game in the Resident Evil franchise, so, you know, there's two extremes there. The story's wacky. Wesker is like a comic book villain at this point. All in all, though,
but he also was a comic book villain in Code Veronica.
I think RE5 is a great action game, and that's what people can't cope with. They don't like an action game. Here's the classic saying. I fucking hate this saying. It's a great game, but it's not a good Resident Evil game.
And I disagree with it being a great game.
Remember that first part. It's a great game. Therefore, I think it's here. I don't like it as much as CVX, but I really do enjoy playing it. And I've mostly played RE5 solo. I've played it solo a lot of the time. But as a game, like...
But you can have a great game and have it not fit the theme. That's literally how Devil May Cry was made. It was made because it didn't feel like a Resident Evil game. Yes! And so it was turned into a different thing because it was a different thing, essentially. RE5 was not turned into a different thing. It is a different thing, but they decided to keep the Resident Evil branding, and that is what the issue of many people is.
It might be my favorite Chris in the franchise. Like, there's just so many great things about 5, and there are some bad things too, and I don't even know how to get into them really. Like, I don't really care enough to get into RE5, because at the end of the day, it's usually just hated on for being an action game and being way over the top in every aspect of being.
The thing I'm saying about RE6 currently is how I like the over-the-top action, because I like action. I love action. Again, Hobbs and Shaw is probably one of my favorite action movies because it's so much fun. It is one of the most fun I've had in action movies ever. But that's not what RE5 is. It's not a good action game in my opinion. That's it. I just don't think it's a good game. I'm not complaining about it because it's straight away too far from the franchise. That's also its own point of its own. That makes it an even worse RE game because it's just not an RE game. Yes, okay, I agree with that. But I also just don't think it's a good game, period.
An action game. The environments in this game, and this is why it's not higher than CVX, and this is why it's where it is. I don't like the environments at all. I think most of them are just bad. Like, I really don't like the look of
When he's making is that he hates people saying it's a good game but not a good Resident Evil game. My point is you can make good games that don't feel like they belong in the franchise. Case in point, Devil May Cry. Yeah, but Devil May Cry is not part of the Resident Evil franchise, right? If Devil May Cry were part of the franchise, people would say the same thing about it. But it's not. It's its own thing. Resident Evil 5 is not. Yes, Devil May Cry is not a good Resident Evil game. Because it's not a Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 5 is not a good Resident Evil game. But it is one.
most of them. I love the boat area and like the tribal area where you're going around on the boat. I love like the look of that area. And I love the look of a couple other areas in the game, but overall, I think it does have the weakest areas, maybe in the mainline franchise.
Actually, yeah, come to think of it, there were some cool areas, like the one that he mentioned that was a bit open with the boat. That is, I think, the most memorable one still. But I think it's mostly, when you think of 5, it's just the setting itself that you think about Africa, right? Like, most of these games have their one, like, standout area that is super memorable. It's usually the first one. In CVX, I would say it's the base. It's like the Arctic base. So it's not the first one in CVX, but, you know, we have the mansion, the police station, the city. We have the... Where's RE0? There. We have the train, you know? And 5 doesn't have that. In 5, it's the overall setting, and 4 it's the village. You know, 5 is the overall setting that is memorable, if anything, and that's a bit of a shame.
That's conflicting because I love the Raccoon City so much in RE3 and Outbreak, but when you're exploring the village section in 5, it's just so linear. Like,
yeah, 5 is a linear game. It's almost as linear as 6, which is insane. But that's just because the game is flawed and linear. That's not because... it's not the city anymore. Which
isn't like a major problem, but I just don't enjoy it. I don't think the village is like too fun. Anyway, I think RE5 is great. I think it deserves to be there.
Yeah, the only area that wasn't linear in RE5 was the one that he mentioned. One of 5 different ones, might I add. Or more? I'm not actually sure. It's just one area that he mentioned that was slightly more open, and yes, that was cool. It was pretty open. I like that too. But that's just one area. There are plenty. It's a completely linear game. It was meant to be Resident Evil 4. Yes, it was meant to be Resident Evil 4, but they realized it goes too far away from that concept. Let's turn it into something else. Same with Prince of Persia, where they developed a new game in the franchise that realized, this isn't really Prince of Persia anymore. Turned it into Assassin's Creed. But with RE5, they didn't. They developed RE5, looked at it, and were like, yes, this is a Resident Evil game. And that's the problem of many people. Designers didn't want to scrap all the code, so they repurposed it. Yes, I know. But you're saying that the argument of saying RE5 is not a good Resident Evil game is invalid because Devil May Cry is also not a good Resident Evil game. Yeah, but Devil May Cry got detached from the franchise because it's not a good Resident Evil game. 5 did not. The first Dead Space game was built on a golf game engine. That's funny, I didn't know that. But that is literally the criticism, that 5 did not get split off into something else. That it is part of the franchise, even though it doesn't feel like it. They could have split it off into something else, you know, like they did with Devil May Cry, like Ubisoft did with Assassin's Creed. They could have, but they didn't. It is called Resident Evil 5. Not even a spin-off. It's a mainline. It's the 5th mainline game. And that is the problem that many people have.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Resident Evil Mercenaries.
Yeah, Mercenaries 3D. It came out on the DS, right? Or the 3DS. I think the 3DS. And as far as I know, it's just the Mercenaries mode, right? Which I personally just never cared about much. So I never even paid any attention to this one. So I'm curious what he will say.
3D. Do you hear that music? It's got a banger soundtrack. It's got a ton of characters, a ton of replayability. It is, in my opinion, the best version of Mercenaries there is. Honestly,
kind of boring. People love the Mercenaries mode. I never saw that, but to be fair, I've also never gotten into it. I never even tried to get into it. I just never had the interest. But there are people who love the Mercenaries mode.
Like, I feel weird putting it in B. But I truly think it's a good game. It's just like a bonus, like mini game kind of game for the DS. But it is what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's trying to be, and it's great at doing it, honestly. Like, it's got a lot of characters. It's got a lot of costumes. It's got a ton of replayability. A ton. You're ranked on every match for every character. If you love it, you can keep playing for like 100 hours. It's great. There's nothing like bad about Mercenaries.
You know, that sounds amazing. For people who like Mercenaries, that sounds amazing.
It's 3D, I think. Besides, you're playing it on the 3D or the DS or the 3DS. Sorry, like that's the only bad thing is that like it's sort of hard to play Mercenaries game on a 3DS. I think it's a great game, and I think that's all there is to it. Ladies and gentlemen, Umbrella Chronicles. It's an on-rail.
Wait, what about Darkside Chronicles though? Wait, Darkside Chronicles isn't in here. It's only Umbrella Chronicles. Aren't they the two like kind of tied together? Don't they like belong together? Or is this like the 2-in-1 pack that includes both? I guess he'll say it. But yeah, I haven't played this one. That he would praise a game that's entirely one game mode for the entirety of the game, then despises people saying it's a good game, just not a good RE game. Dude needs to pick a side.
One of the best co-op games ever made. I think playing RE5 with a friend is one of the best experiences you can have playing a video game with a friend. But I also think playing solo can be one of the most frustrating experiences you can have playing playing a game in the Resident Evil franchise. So, you know, there's two extremes there. The story's wacky. Wesker is like a comic book villain at this point. All in all though, I think RE5 is a great action game. And that's what people can't cope with. They don't like an action game. Here's the classic saying. I fucking hate this saying. It's a great game, but it's not a good Resident Evil game. But remember that first part. It's a great game. Therefore, I think that is
He praised the 3DS game, despite the fact that it's literally one mode. And he said it's the best version of that one game mode, and it does exactly what it tries to do. It doesn't try to be anything grand, it's just that, and it's good at that. But then doesn't like people saying it's a good game, just not a good Resident Evil game. Yeah, and then he doesn't like people saying that. Yeah. That is not... These are not mutually exclusive.
I believe it's RE1, 2, and 3. It's 0, 1, and 3. So this is a retelling of 0, 1, and 3.
Why not 2?
Plus, you get to see what Wesker went through.
Okay.
And I think it does that all super well. Actually, move. I think it does that all super well. Like, I don't have much bad things to say about this game. It's just an on-rail shooter is like the main issue. You get an expanded story in this game, by the way, with Rebecca in RE1, which is great. It's great seeing that other side of what happened to Richard and what Rebecca went through when she got to the mansion.
True. True. Come to think of it, yeah, I would like to see that.
And you get to see extra stuff. In the RE3 retelling, you actually go through outbreak areas, which is a little strange, but it's pretty cool that they reused some of the outbreak stuff and actually get some
Sounds cool to me.
use out of it because they worked hard on that game. But like, this game isn't anything special. It's basically just like, you know what? Actually, since we have C, D, and E, I don't think C is that low. I don't like it as much as 0. But I also think it's better than Merc's 3D. I think this is better.
C isn't that low. It's not just S, A, B, and then F. There's layers.
And Darkside Chronicles is a retelling of 2.
Oh, there it is. Darkside Chronicles. Oh, I guess I just didn't see it. Okay. Oh, and in the YouTube chapters things, it's just included. I see. Okay.
VX and a new chapter with Krauser and Leon, which is really
That is cool.
cool actually. You get to learn about Krauser's past and what Leon and Krauser actually went through. You know in RE4 remake when Krauser's like where is it? Krauser's like he's like
You remember the fight in the jungle? Sloppy! We barely made it out alive. This is it, soldier!
he is referencing the events you play through in Darkside Chronicles, which is cool. Here's why Darkside Chronicles is worse than Umbrella Chronicles though. Darkside Chronicles has the fucking worst camera in the whole franchise, all 24 or 25 games, whatever it is. The camera work is
There are much more, way more. There's more than double than 24 or 25 games.
horrible in this game. Like, trying to shoot anything is brutal. It's constantly flying around. Like, they literally just attached a camera to they attached a camera to the player's to Leon's or the playable character's body, and the only thing they changed was they zoomed sometimes, and usually it's bad. Like, it's horrible. The camera is horrific in this game. It's horrific, but despite this is why it's a C and not like a D or an E. But despite the bad camera, the new stories it had to tell me with Krauser and the old retreadings with RE2, getting to see Leon and Claire and Sherry all together and see them go through RE2 as a group is awesome. And getting to see Claire like actually observe Leon and Ada's relationship and comment on it, love that shit. I wish the RE2 remake B scenarios were like that. Love it.
I wish the RE2 remake B scenarios were anything other than just like slight alterations.
And that's why Umbrella Chronicles and Darkside Chronicles are in C, and not in like D or E or whatever, because a lot of people don't like these games. They're just like throwaway games to some people. There's some great stories that they told in those games, and like, I think doing this kind of thing to a classic is never like a bad thing. Like, I love that these exist. Do I love playing them like every day? No. But are they fun to revisit just as like a quick retelling with like playing with a friend of the classic games? Yeah, it's great to just boot them up and like shoot some zombies, you know? All right, ladies.
Okay, next up is Revelations. We didn't play Revelations yet, so the rest of the video is for a later point. Holy shit, 3 Remake is the longest section by far. That alone takes over 10 minutes. Damn. He goes through them in such a weird order. Revelations, Revelations 2, then 6. Okay, cool. Operation Raccoon City 2 Remake, Village, then 4 Remake, then 7, then 3 Remake. He retells the story of Raccoon City and then follows Leon on what happened after. That sounds interesting.
It's time for Revelations 1. All right, this is when it gets difficult. This is when it gets real difficult. Okay, good things.
For me, I would place it because, look, it has its limitations. Because it came out on the 3DS originally, it has its limitations that carry over to the PC version. Can't do much about it. That is just the core game. It's just more limited. And because of that, it, of course, can't be an S or anything, because it is inherently just more limited, even though it tries to be a full experience. But it is still a good experience, and one I think is worth playing to fans of the series, with some of the best monster designs, an actually kind of like interesting story, a self-contained story, and actually a story for once, and not just like tidbits. You know, yeah, in one you have the underground lab, blah, 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 you know, but this is actually a full story with character arcs. We even get to read what they were up to later in their lives, whatever, you know. It actually felt like a complete story, rather than just the individual games being the individual chunks of one bigger one, you know. This actually felt like one big one, and I appreciated that. I would probably give it like a high B.
Great soundtrack. It's now the franchise is a little more back to horror. It's trying to be scary again, which is great.
After 5, which was action spectacle, and right before 6, the year before 6 came out, was this game. And 6 was also even more pure action spectacle, even though 6 also tried to go back to horror the tiniest bit, in Leon's campaign, especially. So this is almost like a return to form, honestly. And then Revelations 2 came out after 6, I'm pretty sure, but takes place between 5 and 6, and is a proper full survival horror game again. Love that.
It takes more of those slow-paced vibes, which is awesome. Jill is back. Chris is back. Great. There's new side characters like Jessica.
Oh yeah, you also get to see Jill and Chris again in the same game, which doesn't happen a lot. But it also has some annoying side characters and some annoying distractions from the main story sometimes that also contribute to the overall story, I know, but I don't like these interruptions. I want to know what happens next, you know?
Outfit shows half her ass hanging out. This game has a ton of side characters. I just played it like a week ago, and I can't tell you the name of any of them. Conan.
Actually, same. I played it just now, I couldn't tell you the name of any of them. But to be fair, that also doesn't really matter because they're one-off characters anyway, right?
Oh, there's a guy that looks like Conan O'Brien. The side characters in this game are basically... Yeah, Parker is basically a budget Barry Burton. Raymond
True.
is like a male Ada Wong. Jessica's horny. Yeah, Jessica is horny.
Jessica's just fucking horny for Chris all the time.
Jessica's horny. Yeah, Jessica is horny. And then there's the two other side characters, whatever their names are. Revelations is hard to talk about. A lot of people love this game, a lot of people hate this game, and a lot of people think it's average. And I agree on the average. Like for me it's a B. I'd say it's where it is right now. Revelations is sort of
Yeah, no, I would personally put it definitely above 0. Outbreak, I would probably also put it above Outbreak 1. Outbreak 2, I'm not sure. It's somewhere around that area. For me, it's a high B.
on the DS, and they wanted you to play it in chapters because like long sessions of the DS were like super common. I know.
Yes, and I know he's probably gonna criticize that there are short chapters, but I have to say, yes, it is annoying, and yes, it's annoying just how short some of them are. You know, if it was like 10, 15, 20-minute chunks, okay, cool. But some of them were literally 2, 3, 5 minutes long, okay? Not cool. But in concept, 4, 5, and 6 did the exact same thing.
When I grew up, when I played the DS, it was like before bed. I was trying to squeeze a few more hours of gaming in before my mom figured out I was staying up playing my DS. So, you know, you'd play like 20-minute, 40-minute segments on your handheld. And they treated it that way. You get a flashback to the past 20 minutes of the game every 20 minutes, and that's how it is. It's shot in like an episodic fashion. So like a movie almost. But it's a fun little game. I think the environments are good. Like I think...
And I love the ship setting, and I just misremembered the game a lot. I remembered it being interrupted all the time by other things I just don't care about. That wasn't really the case that much. It does get interrupted sometimes, but really not all that much. You do get to see a lot of the ship, and for a good chunk of the game. Yeah.
Everything is good in the game. The dodge works for the most part. I think it's there and it works. There's a couple cool boss fights, like the Mayday, the first boss in the ship. Really cool moment. Like love that. Like they nailed that shit. The common enemy is sort of bad. Like it's just like a walking like white flesh monster. But overall, I think it's
not like just white flesh. It's like a bloated like sea corpse. I love that design. I love the designs on all of them. At least there isn't 2 seconds between unskippable cutscenes. True. Unskippable, I don't know. I never tried to skip them because I did want to see all of what it has to offer. But yeah, literal seconds, sometimes not even 2 seconds between cutscenes. It's wild. Fuck Resident Evil 6, such a piece of shit game.
Good Resident Evil game. I don't think it's great. I certainly don't think it's great. I think it's good though. It's fun. Like every time I play it, I have fun. I love the upgrade system. Chris in this game.
Upgrade system is actually pretty cool. That they took out the item box as it is usual with healing items and all, that is fine. It works for this game. That you just have up to 5 healing items or up to, I don't know how many grenades. I think also 5. I never went over the limit, but it's definitely up to 5 healing items. And they always heal you fully, and that's cool. That is fine. And I like that the item box is still there in a way, but in the sense that you can only carry up to 3 weapons at once, and you have to use the item box to switch them out if you want to, and then you can also upgrade them with different things, like you can give this weapon plus 50% damage, for example, or plus 20% damage. This weapon gets more fire rate. I like that. I like that it makes it a little more versatile. And you saw, we got a bunch of new weapons. Some of them were of the same types, like assault rifles, like pistols, but you get like, what, a solid like 15 weapons throughout the game? That's good. And you can really like adapt it to your specific playstyle. That's cool. Oopsie.
All about the mission. his partner is Jessica. She's like this crazy hot, big boob, big butt, showing half her butt, hitting on Chris every second sentence. And he doesn't give a shit. He's like, if it's not about the mission, don't care. It just all about the mission and only the mission at all times. It's so funny. Love that. And the raid mode's really good in this game from what I hear. I don't know for a fact, but yeah, the upgrade.
Wait, sorry, what was it?
Love that. And the raid mode's really good in this game from what I hear. I don't know.
Oh, the raid mode. I understood rainbow. Yeah, raid mode, mercenaries mode, whatever. I never cared about them. I never tried them out in any of the games. Maybe I should. People praise them. People praise them all the time. Maybe I should try it out, but yeah.
For a fact. But yeah, the upgrade system, amazing for me. Love the weaponry and love the upgrades. And there is a reason to explore in Revelations, and I love that. Running around.
Reason to explore. There isn't much to explore, though. That's the thing. Like, there are a few optional rooms, but it is a super linear game. Yes, exploring rewards you, but you saw it. Like, you can use the scanner to find more items, more ammo and stuff, but it's kind of useless because you already get enough throughout the game. Really, the only thing you can do with the scanner that's actually useful is, like, look for the handprints, whatever. It's like, you know, finding the secrets, but who cares, you know? I know, I like the system for scanning monsters, and if you scan them enough, you know, you get enough data, you get a healing item for that. That's cool. I like that they tried it out. I like that they tried out something new, and it didn't really work out, just like in Zero, and not having an item box didn't really work out. They tried it. It's cool. It was just kind of an unnecessary mechanic for me. Also would have liked it, again, like in Metroid Prime, for example. You scan this enemy, or you scan a bunch of them like you do in this game. You scan a bunch of them, you get 100% like scan rate, and you get a little bit of lore, a bit of backstory for that specific enemy type. That would have been so cool. Would have loved that. But they didn't really do anything with it, and that's a shame.
All the upgrades, yeah, great soundtrack, great gameplay, and it has got good everything else, like good. There are some shitty chapters, sure, but there's also some great chapters as well.
And I do think the shitty chapters are some of the shorter ones. Well, again, specifically with the two comic relief guys that I just don't like, but they take up a combined, I think not even 20 minutes of playtime, so, you know, it's fine. But yeah.
And the side characters are weak. The side characters just feel like budget everything, and the story is actually pretty enticing, but then they do nothing with it in the end, so. Now it's time for...
I mean, they did have an ending though, right? They did nothing with it in the end. I mean, they didn't do anything with it in the rest of the franchise, but that's kind of obvious, right? It's a spin-off. And as we read earlier, Revelations and Revelations 2 have nothing to do with each other, have nothing... and I was wondering why that is. Because apparently Revelations wasn't meant to be like the series of games that are called Revelations. It is meant to be a series of games that basically fill gaps in the story. First one takes place between 4 and 5. Second one takes place between 5 and 6. It's just, that is what the connection is. That is why they're called Revelations, because they reveal the gaps in the stories, or whatever these other characters were up to. You know, there was no real gap here that was filled by Revelations, honestly. It is a pretty self-contained story, but it did show up what Jill and Chris were up to. And that's cool. You know, it filled another gap, basically, because between Resident Evil 4 and 5, a few years have passed, and this is one of the things that happened during that time. And Revelations 2 is similar in that sense. They just fill some gaps. That's it. That's all they do. That's what they have in common, and that's why they are both called Revelations, even though they have nothing to do with each other in terms of actual story. Wait, why am I yapping about all this? Wait.
The side characters are weak. The side characters just feel like budget everything, and the story is actually pretty enticing, but then they do nothing with it in the end, so.
Yeah, I know. I think it is a complete story. And they do nothing with it, well, because it's a complete story. I don't know. I don't see that.
Now it's time for Revelations 2!
Which we didn't play, and probably, sadly, won't play anymore, because there is no way we're reaching that goal. Sadly, I have played it. I think I've played it through it twice. I think this is one of the games I've played before I ever streamed it. Oh, we got 4 new achievements during this playthrough. Last time in November 2021. I remember liking it a lot. I remember it being a super underappreciated gem in the franchise. Just one that isn't very memorable, sadly. It doesn't have any standout features, you know. Well, most of them are settings, right? With 4, you have the village. With 2, you have the police station. With Revelations, you have the ship. With 1, you have the mansion. With 0, you have the train, you know? 7 has the baker house. You know, every game has something memorable about it, and it's mostly settings. Revelations 2 doesn't have any of that, and that's a shame. And it has some of the most horrible DLCs in the entire franchise. It has 2 DLCs, and I hated both of them. It is The Struggle and Little Miss. But the game as a whole, the game itself, is great, in my opinion.
More of the same here. So it is episodic again.
More of the same, I disagree. Because Revelations was, well, it's episodic again, but so are 4, 5, and 6. That's just how Resident Evil games were back then. And More of the Same, I also disagree, because it has a completely different setting, completely different everything. It goes back to an actual survival horror formula. Different characters. It is a fundamentally different game, and it wasn't built up. It wasn't made for 3DS originally. It was a full console game from the, full, big AAA, whatever, game from the beginning.
It's sort of like a movie again. I love this game. I love this game
Thank
so
you.
much, but I also think it has a lot of problems. I'm not going to look at the chat
Personally, I would put it in A.
because this is one I can definitely be influenced for. Let's just set it right here for now. Barry Burton's one of my favorite characters of the franchise. Barry returns in Revelations 2, and the writers knew exactly what to do with Barry. If you are a fan of Barry like I am, you know what
I never cared about Barry. I don't even remember what happens to him. Look, all I'm saying right now is just based on my memory of my impression of the game. I don't actually remember many of the specific details of the story or whatever, or what Barry goes through or whatever. Your gameplay is so attractive that I forgot time to cook dinner. Holy shit! I appreciate that, Lady Linus. That's a great compliment, but yes, please go cook dinner. We're gonna watch this video, the next 10 minutes at least. He's gonna talk about Revelations 2, RE6, Operation Raccoon City, and 2 Remake. Operation Raccoon City we didn't play, but then 2 Remake. And then the next game after that, so that's until the 1 hour mark, that's like 10 more minutes. And after that, it is Village, which we have yet to play.
talking about.
So we're gonna pause the video before that again.
That is everything I wanted to see Barry as. Like, everything I wanted Barry to do in his next game from RE1 to whatever it was, he did it in Rev 2. It made me so happy. I tear up at the ending every time I play this game.
Okay, that is actually great to hear. I love that.
It tells a decent story. It's got a decent soundtrack. I like Claire in the game, but her design, what she looks like, is not even close to my favorite. By the way, retouching on Darkside Chronicles, it has the most attractive characters in the entire franchise. I really like Moira. I know a lot of people hate Moira, but what do you expect? What do you expect the daughter of a gun-obsessed man that has now ridiculed her, like, basically disowned her, a teenage girl with a super gun-crazy dad who disowned her for breaking into his gun collection and making a mistake and shooting her sister. That's probably what she would act like. So the people that get upset, like, oh man, she just said fuck it right up the ass. That's so unrealistic. No, it's not. That's like when people complain about how Ashley is in RE4, like, oh, Ashley's so annoying. It's the president's fucking daughter. She better be annoying. What do you think she's gonna act like? The things I don't like.
Honestly, actually, fair point.
Here we go. So I love all that stuff about Rev 2. And I really like Natalia. I really like Moira. The environments in Rev 2, it's similar to RE5. I hate almost every area in Rev 2. I think most of the areas are unfun. But the gameplay is super solid. So that's why I keep playing. Like, I don't like the environment, but the game, like the quick weapon swapping, everything just feels very fluid. It works. And I think it has some of the best gameplay of all these games on the screen right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like, it's great. Now that
yes, I keep saying it. Revelations 2 is seriously, genuinely one of the better RE games. I would put it in A, in a solid A even.
Be crazy to hear for some of you, and you think I'm crazy, but really, it has really good gameplay. But yeah, why I put it in a B, where I do go on and on about this game, and you guys hear me talk about it so much and how much I love it, I do hate the environments. And when I replay it...
I don't remember hating the environments. I just remember them being very not memorable, and that's a shame. It doesn't have any standout environments. There is one I remember because that section was basically the same as in RE4. There was also a village, I remember that, because of that one section of that also in the house, you have to defend it, all the zombies coming in, chainsaw guy breaking in, basically the same as in RE4. And that's why I remember, yeah, there was also a village, right? But yeah, that's really all I can think of in terms of environments. And that village was also very derivative of Resident Evil 4's village. You know, you can make a village stand out, like in 5, you know, have this African slum. It's also a village, but it's a very different one. But the one in Revelations 2 was basically the same as in RE4, and that's really it. That's not good.
A lot of sections, in my head, I'm like, this is such a slog. Like, I really don't like this section. And I don't rant about, like, how much I dislike it. It's just, the environments just feel lazy to me a lot of the time. Despite that, though, I think I like it more than 0.
F, or in his tier list, it's an E. E. Easy. E. I don't give a fuck. It goes in E. Realistically, honestly, I would probably even put it in D. It is not the worst made game ever. I have played far worse. But within this franchise, and also with how much it made me rage, it is an easy E. Easy E.
No matter where I put this, people are going to be angry. Like, no matter where I put this.
I really don't get Resident Evil 6 Defenders. Like, okay, Zip says she likes it because it's funny, it's whatever, it's over the top. Okay, cool. I can see that. I can get behind that. It has its fun moments, it has its fun over the top action moments. They're only 10% of the game, but they are there. Okay. But I really don't get serious RE6 Defenders. Same with serious RE5 Defenders. Oh, it's a good game, it's just not a good Resident... No, it's not a good... I disagree. I don't think it's a good game. And 6 even more so. I really don't think it's a good game. It's not a good action game either. No, I disagree with that. It has good action moments, but that's it. That's really it. Oh, you're just talking from the perspective of... No, I love action games. This is not a good action game in my opinion. Same as 5. I don't care. I just don't like the game. Even outside of Resident Evil, I just don't like it. And it goes on for way too fucking long. It is twice the length of the previous longest game, Code Veronica X. 12 hours 40 or something. This shit went on for like 23 hours. That's almost double. That is insane for such a trash game. I hated it so much. Oh yeah, by the way, Revelations 2 is also one of the longer ones. I think it took me like 10 hours or so to beat.
You're gonna be angry.
Okay, I am hearing him out.
Imagine. So Resident Evil 6. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to tell you that I just played Resident Evil 6 Leon's campaign, Chris's campaign, Jake's campaign, and Ada's. All
Me too.
Not in a row, but in the course of a week.
I played them in the course of 2.5 days or so. So you probably took breaks between them to play other games, right? So in the course of a week, I played through them basically in one go, more or less. I took breaks, but not with other games, but like with videos and stuff, with sleeping, whatever.
That fresh perspective, okay? And I'm not biased towards like obviously I'm biased for this. This is a personal list, so obviously it's what I think. But I'm not like, oh, it's an action game, it sucks, or oh, it's a horror game, it sucks. I like all games. Resident Evil 6 has some major issues. Oh, the positives. RE6 is some of the most content in the entire franchise. There's
Yes, that is a problem. Because it's just a bad game.
4 scenarios, all of them take like minimum 4 hours unless you're like super mega speed running. There's a ton of unlockables. It has a great mercenaries mode. I think the story that Chris's campaign tells
is the only one that is actually a complete story, and all the other ones try to complement each other, but they only kinda do, so you still don't really know what's going on. And to find out what's going on, to actually understand what is going on in this piece of shit game, you know what you have to do? You have to read the notes. You know where they are? Not in the game. Don't get any notes in the game. No, nothing. You get all the lore, all the background info, everything. You get in an extra menu point outside of the game that some people might not even click on. Because it's not in the game, you know, I don't care, options, bonus content, who cares, I just want to play the game, you know? That's where all the story is, and all the lore. And I only discovered that after finishing the game, because then I wanted to see, okay, what is the bonus content, what does this game also have to offer? And then I saw everything I wanted from this game, the tiniest bit of story, everything was in those notes outside of the actual game. And that's when I just Alt F4 rage quit and uninstalled it.
Is decent. I think the story that Ada's campaign and Leon's campaign tells is decent. I like seeing Ada and Leon have a couple moments. I think the gameplay is solid in 6. A lot of people hate on the gameplay, but I don't see what people hate about the gameplay. You can do anything you want. You want to slide forward and shoot your gun? You can do it. You want to jump backwards and shoot while you're...
I want to play the game, something the game likes me not to do way too often, by interrupting me all the time, by taking control away from me, by... I'll stop.
Jumping backwards? You can do it. You want to roll to the side and shoot while you're rolling? You can do that. You want to parry? You can do that. You want to punch? You can do that. You can do everything. Like, if you can think of it in RE6, it's in the gameplay. But the problem is that no player is going to grasp that much gameplay. It's over-designed, sort of. And that's just it.
The healing was kind of unnecessarily over-designed. But, oh, he's putting it down, okay. No player is gonna grasp that gameplay, but I don't care about that gameplay. I don't need all that. I played through it just fine without all that bullshit. I agree with it being over-designed, though.
It's average.
It's not.
Like, it's either low B or high C.
It's not,
and
in my
I feel
opinion.
the same way,
At least it's not the first. I was so ready to peace out. I disagree. It is so far the worst game. Yes, also worse than Survivor and Dead Aim, in my opinion. Because at least with those, you can have some semblance of fun for more than 10% of the game.
Way, I'm just asking to hear what you guys think. Like, I had it hovering here for a reason, or here for a reason. I think if I put it here, people will hate me. If I put it here, everyone will be like, yeah, that's right, that's good. No, I don't think everyone would hate me if I did this, actually. But I have fun playing it, though. But you're hearing the perspective of a massive Turbo fan of the Resident Evil franchise. There's only one game I actually fucking hate in this whole franchise.
Umbrella Corps. It has to be Umbrella Corps. I know Operation Raccoon City is the next game, so he's probably gonna talk about that next, but Umbrella Corps, I hate. I'm right now, after playing 6, I'm torn whether I hate 6 or Umbrella Corps more. But in a way, I would like to see which game I really hate more, because I really was super miserable during Umbrella Corps and also had to take breaks. It was so bad. It was kind of fun in the beginning. It was just mindless shooting, but then very quickly, within an hour or so, I just started hating it, and then it went on for another 5 hours. Yeah, I'm not sure. I would probably say that I hate Umbrella Corps even more because it contributes nothing to the franchise. At least 6 has some semblance of story. But it's close. It's really close. It's an okay action. No, I disagree. I think it is just a bad game, period. I don't care. I disagree. I disagree with 6 or 5 being good or okay action game. No, both of them are trash in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I may have played RE6 more than Rev, but I don't know if I like it more than Revelations. I don't know. These two games are, like, very interchangeable for me.
That's wild.
I like RE6 more than these. I know that for sure.
That's wild.
I don't know, guys. Let's just keep it here for now. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City! This game, you basically play as Hunk and his little goons, and you retread old environments of Resident Evil games. This game is fun.
I've never played this one.
It's similar to Outbreak, where it's
okay, so it's not the one that he hates, so it's gonna be out. It has to be Umbrella Corps.
PvE, you group up with your friends, you play a certain character, except in this game, you upgrade your character's weapons and you upgrade their perks. And you need to use Windows fucking Live to save your goddamn game, which is bullshit, by the way, but...
and it doesn't exist anymore, so you can't save it. I think that's why it was taken down from Steam, right? Because yeah, they're looking into the issue of using Games for Windows Live for saving. They're looking into the issue, but Games for Windows Live was shut down like 10 years ago, so they've been looking into it for 10 years now. Thanks for nothing, I guess.
I won't count that towards what I give it.
And that is the reason why you can't buy it on Steam anymore. That's also the main reason why I've never played it, because I just have no way of playing it.
I don't like this game very much. It's like, it's fun. I think it's a fun game, and it's fun like going into Birkin's lab and hearing the conversation with Hunk and like, give me the sample. And like fighting Birkin
That does sound
is
fun.
cool, and fighting Nikolai is interesting and stuff. And I've never played it with a friend, by the way. So there's that. It'd probably be...
Oh yeah. And then people say, yeah, but 6 and 5 are fun co-op games. Well, okay, I played a chunk of 6 in co-op. It was fun. But not because it was actually a good co-op game, but because it distracted, but because talking to my friend and making fun of everything distracted me from how shit the game actually is. It didn't make the game better, it just distracted me from everything that's shitty about it. Okay, cool, I guess it's a fun co-op game in that sense. If the thing that makes your game better is a distraction from the actual game, that's not good. Emulate the Xbox. I don't want to emulate. I don't care enough. Honestly, I don't care enough to emulate this.
way more fun with friends, but you know, I get the gist of it. Like, obviously I know what it would be like to play with a friend. It's just an action shooter where you retread old environments and you can choose your own story.
I know what it would play like with friends, but don't people... Well, he didn't say that, but don't people normally always say, yeah, but you didn't get the full experience because you played it in single player, like with RE5 specifically. I guess he doesn't share that notion with this one. He played it single player, so he knows how it would play in multiplayer. But to be fair, he did not say that about 5 or 6 about the co-op thing, so...
And you can choose to kill Leon at the end of the game.
What the fuck?
And then at the end, Leon's dead, haha, and you've just changed the future canon of RE.
That's kind of funny, but that makes this game non-canon, I guess, right? Or at least most of it.
It's fun. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. It's an average game, and some of you might love it.
Or at least that ending. I don't know. Is this game canon, like, at all? I know that the Chronicles games aren't really canon. They only have canon bits, right? Is this game canon at all? Because Umbrella Corps, it's not. Okay, then I think that's why I don't care about it. I want to play everything the canon has to offer. And I have, almost. Gaiden is not canon. I kind of want to play it just for the novelty of playing an RE Game Boy game. But I think really the only games I'm missing that are actually canon are the Chronicles games, and or that have some canon. And that's why I'm curious about them. Umbrella Corps, I'm pretty sure... No, Umbrella Corps can't be canon because it just takes place in like some of the maps from the previous games. I mean, maybe it can be. It takes place later, whatever, blah, blah. But even if it is, the story is so light, it's literally just the tiniest bit of flavor text. It's like the lightest story ever. It's whatever. It really doesn't make a difference if it's canon or not, so...
And some of you might despise it. I just think it's alright. I don't hate it. I think it's the lowest C. And next up is Resident Evil 2 Remake, everybody. RE2 Remake.
And after this one, he gets to Village, so we're gonna watch the rest of the video after my marathon, or at the very least after Village. 2 Remake is my absolute, so far, my absolute top game. My top 3 would be 2 Remake, then 4, and then 4 Remake.
Now, we talked about RE1 Remake earlier, right? We talked about RE1 Remake and how RE1 Remake took every single solitary thing from Resident Evil 1 and it made it better. It improved upon it, and the new stuff it added was arguably the best stuff in the entire game.
And 2 takes a lot of stuff out, but also adds a lot of stuff, so it makes for, in my opinion, a very different experience. Not the same game at all. With 4, for example, you can have largely the same experience. Yeah, the tone is a bit different. Yeah, the remake is a bit longer, but it's largely the same experience. With 1, 2, and 3, you have, especially with 2, well, and 3 as well, you have a fundamentally different experience. It's just a shame that the other campaign was effectively removed. It's there, but it's not really, and that's a shame. If they had this remake as is, but also a proper second campaign, that would make it an absolute S+ above all, no questions asked game. But as is, they also removed a lot. They added a lot, they also made the game a bit longer, added a lot of meaningful content, just like one remake did, but they effectively removed half the game, more or less. And, you know, it's just that people don't complain about it as much as in Resident Evil 3, because Resident Evil 3 only has one campaign, and they cut stuff out of that. At least with 2, you still get a full campaign.
Which is super sick. Love that shit. And then there's RE2 Remake, where RE2 Remake took most of RE2 Original, and it did the same thing as RE1 did. It made the graphics better, it improved the gameplay, it changed the story a bit, and added some new stuff. But the downside to RE2 Remake is that, remember when we talked about RE1 Remake, I said that they improved everything that was bad. They improved everything that was bad. RE2 OG, the B scenarios, as much as people love them, they're not as good as they could be. Let's be real. Yeah, sure, there's different bosses and you get to see a couple different cutscenes, but man, they could be way better. Imagine.
And 2 had the potential. That's exactly what I'm saying. Well, I didn't play the B scenario in years. We didn't unlock it during this marathon. I still have it written down. We could still unlock it, but realistically we're not gonna. And that's a huge shame. So I don't have it fresh in memory. I thought it is fundamentally different. Maybe it's not as different as I thought, but it is still different and complements the story still. And 2 Remake just doesn't have that.
If in the B scenario for Claire meets Ada, and you get to see how Claire would interact with Ada, and Leon meets Sherry, and Leon meets Irons, and you get to see that dynamic between those characters.
Exactly.
Giving you a completely different perspective on the game. Or imagine the B scenarios where it's Claire, Sherry, and Ada, and they don't even see Irons. Or Leon, yada, yada, yada. Mix and match, new bosses, new routes, the whole shebang. Instead, Resident Evil 2 Remake just... They add the B scenarios, but as lazy as possible. They swap a couple item locations, they add a couple extra enemies, and they change where Mr. X appears, and that's it. I think that's Resident Evil 2 Remake's biggest problem, is that they mostly took away from RE2 OG, and they took away a lot of potential content from the B scenarios. It could have been so good. They even took a weapon away, which is the crossbow. But you know the great thing about RE2 Remake? Despite...
I didn't remember that they even took a weapon away. That's why. Problem with 2 cutting a lot of stuff is bad, but the thing about 2 is that it still keeps the inherent soul of the game. Yeah. Whereas 3 feels like a gutted experience. Yeah, exactly. And not only did they cut stuff out of 3, out of the main campaign, again, at least with 2 you have still a full campaign. That's the thing. With 3 you don't even have that, and it feels completely different from the original. Though, to be fair, the original also does already feel more action-heavy than the first 2 games, so maybe that's what they were going for, and good on them, whatever, but yeah, whatever. Fuck 3 Remake.
That shit, it's still such a fucking god-tier game.
Yeah.
It really says a lot about RE2 OG, that they took 2 OG, they made the graphics way better, they slightly changed it, and they took stuff away. They took stuff away from the game. And it's still fucking god tier. It's still an amazing game.
It's insane.
I love RE2 Remake. I think RE2 Remakes...
No idea how they did that, but it's insane. Yeah.
Quality for replayability is what the future Resident Evil should strive to be.
Yes.
Like, yes, the B scenarios are...
And then 4 Remake, well, very successfully also did that. 8 also came after 2 Remake, right? 8 is also a great game. I think right now RE is in good hands. For a while it was very, very shaky with 5 and 6, but we also got Revelations 1 and 2 during that time, so it was like, you know, kind of a mixed bag overall. But now, ever since, well, 7 came out, basically, it's in good hands. With just one blemish in between.
Lackluster. And yes...
Aside from these online fucking games like Reverse, who cares? Who cares about those? Like, just... I still can't believe that that Capcom doesn't understand how to make a successful online game. They've been trying for so long, and they always try the same thing. The fucking Umbrella Corps, the fucking Operation Raccoon City. They always try these fucking like shooters, these fucking like multiplayer team deathmatch shooters, whatever. Nobody wants that in a Resident Evil game. Just give us good co-op or something. Like yeah, Outbreak remakes or 5 remake, whatever. Don't give us this bullshit. Nobody cares about that.
The difference between the two A scenarios could be way more. And yes, Leon and Claire should have talked to each other much more, especially like added in the B scenario or something. And I also think that RE2 Remake is a prime game for like a Platinum Edition where there's a C scenario and you give the players everything that they want. Like literally everything I just said.
C scenario? So, wait. What, wait.
RE2 Remake has fucking tight gameplay. It's super scary. RE2 Remake...
Everything I just said, so C scenario where you see everything? I feel like that would be a little much, honestly. I think it is perfect the way it is right now. Just give us more content, basically, like the B scenario properly. I feel like a C scenario with just everything would be overkill.
Is one of my favorite games of all time. It's just so fun. Like, God, it's such a fun game. I think that's the main thing for me. It's just like fun. That's it. Like when my friends ask me what Resident Evil they should play, I usually say 2 Remake because it's just, yes, it's scary.
It's either 7 or 2 Remake are also my 2 go-to like games to mention. 7 if they're, yeah, it's either one of them. Usually I say 7, but 2 Remake is also a strong contender. Like, if you want to start, where should I start? I would either say 7 or 2 Remake, depending on if they're into more action or more horror. Because I feel like 7 is more horror, especially in the first half. 2 has horror, but it's more action-y.
But it's so fun. Where I am a little
while still being scary.
salty about RE2, with the B scenarios and the things that could have added, the gameplay's tight. The cutscenes are tight. I really like the character redesigns and the voice acting. I love the boss fights. I love the sounds of the weapons. I love the sounds of the footsteps. The soundtrack is lackluster, but they gave it the option for an OG soundtrack. In terms of what they could take away from a remake, it could be a lot fucking worse. So I love RE2 Remake. It's an amazing game. And I think it's one of the best Resident Evil games.
I agree. To me, it is, so far, the best one.
So
Resident Evil Village, we only finished that earlier today, so let's see. It's very fresh in my memory.
Remake. It's an amazing game. And I think it's one of the best Resident Evil games. Resident Evil Village. I absolutely love Village. I think it is one of the better RE games.
Where would I put it? Just like right after playing it? Honestly, I like RE5 the best. Yeah, Village. Where would I put Village? 7 I would... Does 7 go in S tier? Low S, super high A would be 7 for me. Before... I always said that 8 is an overall really well-rounded, better-rounded game than 7, and overall a better game than 7. I do think it's a super well-rounded game, but I didn't remember just how big of a focus the Baker House has in 7. That increases it. That makes it better, and how short the cave actually is, that makes it better than it was in my memory. And 8 is pretty long. It is really good. It is really good. But I think I would give like a slight edge to 7. I think I would place 8 right below 7. And this guy didn't rank 7 yet, so that's extra interesting.
It's super solid. Better RE games. So I really love the gameplay. It's super solid. The enemy...
One subtle improvement to the gameplay that I really like, that I already mentioned while I was playing it, is the doors opening. In most other RE games, in the 3D ones I mean, you have to bump into the door for it to open. In Village, it opens ever so slightly, like while you're approaching it, it already opens. That makes it feel so much smoother.
These are all nuts. They're really hard to hit, which is sort of annoying sometimes, but overall though, even though it has a sort of annoying main enemy, the Lycans, I do really like the gameplay. I love hunting for treasures, even though the treasure system in RE4 Remake is better. It didn't exist at the time, so you couldn't really compare it to that. So the treasure system for RE4 is in Village, which is awesome. I loved the treasures in Resident Evil 4 OG. So making a
Me
reappear.
too, and I like how different they are in this game. You know, you put together Heisenberg's hammer, like a random wooden goat, a doll. You know, they're all super different. In RE4 original, it was all just gems that you place into things, basically. I sucker for werewolves, so the Lycans are really cool to me. They are really cool, but they are annoying to kill. And this game went away from zombies, like, a lot, basically. I mean, there were some kind of, like, zombie-like guys, but let's be honest, it kind of went away from zombies. That's a bit of a shame. But it's inspired by RE4 in the best ways, I would say.
In Village was awesome to me. I love the hunting system, hunting for the fish in your spare time, like when you come across a pond of fish or when you see the pigs out in the wild or the goats out in the wild. I love that. I love hunting them, and then you collect the meat and you go up to the merchant, you can improve your character, and the improvements aren't crazy. Like in a casual playthrough, even on Village of Shadows, you could skip every single meal and it's not a big problem. And if you make the meals, it's just a little extra bonus to your character, which is it's just an awesome feeling that you get a reward for exploration. As you guys could tell with this tier list, I love when a game rewards you for exploring the world, and Village does that. And they don't go too far with it either. Like, it's not an open world game. It is still linear for the most part, but you can revisit areas later on in the game, and there might be a little few secrets and treats there, which that's perfect. Love that.
It's still so annoying to me that I missed a few items, though. I missed, like in the castle, I missed items in 3 different locations. I missed probably something small. And then I kind of half gave up on looking, so I missed more things in some more areas. That's so annoying to me. I just want my 100%.
Village is one of the craziest Resident Evils ever made. If you think 5 went off the rails, and you think 4 went off the rails, you think CVX went off the rails, you ain't seen fucking nothing. Village goes completely off the rails.
True, it is super over the top, but the thing is the tone. The tone is always, I don't want to say grounded, but it's always believable somewhat, all things considered. Within this universe, it is kind of still believable enough. Whereas 4 is just like full of one-liners, full of like jokes, and it's just over the top, which was not in line with previous games. 5 is just racist. 6 is just completely over the top. 8 is too, but the tone is in line with 7.
The story, it feels like Capcom had like a crack party and just like they were all in tears laughing, like when they made Dino Crisis 3, undead dinosaurs in space with jetpacks. Like Village feels like that kind of like acid trip where I don't know what they were smoking, but it ended up turning out well, and I love it. But people do dislike this game for the story. I don't care. I like the wacky stuff. I like the vampire.
Who dislikes this game? Are you talking about purists who only play the first 3 games on loop and nothing else? Fuck off. Like, literally, this game is so unanimously well received. Who is he talking about?
I like the crazy hot vampire chicks with Lady Dimitrescu in the castle. I think the castle should have been fleshed out more because it should have been one of the better or best areas in the entire game, but I feel like it was a little too linear. Like, it could have had RPD station vibes when it really didn't. It was just sort of like you held in the run button and you rarely got like lost and explored the castle as much.
I can see where he's coming from, but that is just, the game is already pretty long, that's the thing. And they had these 4 villains, you know, they kind of, the factory also, like in hindsight now, feels a little shorter than it had to, a little more linear than it had to. It's like kind of like a proper survival horror area with a little bit of backtracking, but like, I feel like the village was really the only true survival horror area where you explore and you look into the houses and you like see everything and try to go the different paths and all. I feel like, yeah, the castle and the factory are just not that to such an extent, and they could have been. But for that to work, the game is already pretty long. I feel like they should have taken out, well, to make the castle longer, they should have taken out Moreau's section or Benviento's section. Which I don't think I would have minded very much, but you know.
as I would
Welcome back,
like to.
Quest.
I love the factory. The factory reminds me like System Shock-esque enemies.
The factory is cool in isolation. It's just, in the context of this game, I'm not a big fan.
And they're hard as hell, and man, that place can be
And those enemies are like super cool. I really love the factory in isolation, everything it does. Just not in the context of this specific game.
hard to navigate, but I really enjoyed it too. Moreau is the biggest meme ever, and I love his area. I love flying around or swimming around in the water. I love his little like obstacle course in the middle. And
yeah, that was fun.
House Beneviento on first playthrough. That is that little like couple hours of horror that people
Couple hours of horror? Bro, you go through the thing in 30 minutes.
people love Resident Evil for the horror elements, and House Beneviento has all that you could need in the game.
Yeah, but it's only like half an hour out of a 9 to 10 hour game. That's the problem, in my opinion.
So I love that too. I feel like
I'm glad it's there. But it's a shame that they scaled down the horror so much. It is super scary though. But again, in the DLC, when you go back there, it is even scarier. They managed to top that.
Village is a mixed bag of a lot of different Resident Evil games, and it's made for people like myself. Like, I love a lot of Resident Evils, and a lot of RE games are little drip dropped into Village with all their little segments. And I feel like that's what makes it special, for me at least. But yeah, I love Village. My major problems with this game are simply the replayability is not good, and they're, in my opinion, well, it's just not good. Like,
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like, I played it in 2021, then in 22 for the DLC, and I didn't really ever feel the need to come back to it. Now for the marathon I did, and yeah, it was a good run, was a good playthrough, good game. But I don't see the need to revisit it. If I want to replay any RE game, my go-tos would be 2 Remake and 7. Maybe the first one, but at this point I've played it so often. Like, I've played the original and Remake effectively 5 times in the last few months. That's just, well, all together, combined. The original twice, the Remake twice, and the DS version once. And I also kind of like looked through the footage of the original and Remake quite a lot to make my video. Like, I'm kind of sick of the mansion right now, honestly. But just for a quick playthrough, just because I know the game so well, basically, of the originals, it would be one that is my go-to, just to play through. But yeah, Village is just not... Like, if I think about, like, what do I want to replay? Outbreak is also up there, probably. 4 original, especially. 1 Remake, if anything. Not 8.
Having to play through the intro again, play through the defense section, and then go through House Beneviento on replays. House Beneviento's god tier on first playthrough, but on replays it is not as fun. One more thing.
Yeah, because you already know it's just not as scary anymore. Like, well, 3 years in between, it was scary for me yesterday, okay? But I still knew what was coming. I pretended to be more scared than well, I didn't really. I was just kind of quiet and tried to scare my audience, whatever, to people who haven't seen it yet. I was genuinely scared sometimes there, but not as much as I was the first time, and that's just the nature of it, because it's just one of those like one of a kind experiences that you just can't really make twice, because you already know what's coming. Though still, that one jump scare always gets me when the baby comes back.
I think that the defense section at the first of the game, Capcom shot themselves in the foot. I know many people probably went down this road, and I have a friend that also went down this road, where they bought the game, they played it on hardcore or whatever, they got to the defense section, they got stuck at the first area with combat, and...
What defense section is he talking about, by the way? Just like the beginning when the wolves attack you and you are on that roof, and then the boss comes in, and then the first cutscene, the first like proper cutscene introduction, is that what he means?
They didn't know what to do, so they just refunded the game before their 2 hours was up. Skill issue, sure, but man, that shouldn't have been the first gameplay section. It shouldn't have been. I think it's
I disagree.
I digress, though. It's a small portion of the game. Yes, and that's what makes me mad about Mercenaries. They fixed it now, but if you didn't play Village when it came out, Mercenaries was one mercenary, that was Ethan, and you weren't even allowed to, like, I don't want to get into it because Mercenaries is a small portion of the game. It sucked. You had to take, if you wanted max rank, it wasn't about like being good at the game. It was about taking the right route. If you didn't take the exact correct route through the level you chose and pick the exact right items, you would not get the high score. As opposed to like other Mercenaries where just be a good player and you'll get the high score. They may have fixed it when they added Lady Dim.
Yeah, yeah, I don't play Mercenaries, so I don't really care about that, but yeah, that sounds annoying.
And other characters, but I didn't even bother to try it out because I don't care, because I don't like Mercenaries in general in that game, so adding the extra characters didn't really fix the problem for me. And Shadows of Rose is one of the most mid DLCs that Capcom has done in my
Thank you.
opinion. Overall though, I love Village. I like it more than CVX. I like playing it, replaying it. So yeah, I think Village, for me, I think it's that good. I'm getting conflicting thoughts as I'm trying to move on. Oh my god. See, this is why it doesn't matter. Like this is I keep telling people this. Don't ever put much thought into my tier list, because I could literally just wake up the next morning and be like this. I could be like this. My tier lists are more important that you listen to what I say about the game and not where I place it on the board. I just skipped to the end. You know what, guys? I also just skip to the end of every tier list. But guess the difference between me and other people is, when I see something I don't like, I close the video. I don't go fucking bitch and moan about something I don't know shit about because I didn't listen to what they had to say.
Resistance. Yeah, okay, fuck off. Bro's just trolling. Yeah, sure.
All right, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. All right, I'm just kidding. All right, Project Resistance. All right.
What do you mean
There we
Project
go.
Resistance? It's just, why Project? It's just Resistance. It's just Resident Evil Resistance.
So, guys, I have a lot to say. This is one of the important ones that you listen instead of scroll. Project Resistance is a good game made by
Why
developers
is he calling
that...
it Project Resistance? Resident Evil Resistance, yeah. It's Resident Evil. Why are you calling it Project Resistance? Oh, during development it was known under Project Resistance. Bro, that's the development name. The development name of Resident Evil was also not Resident Evil, probably. Or Biohazard. Come on. Come on. Okay.
care about Resident Evil, but it's a game that no one wanted in, like, fans of RE are begging, waiting and begging, they have been for years now, for a PvE Resident Evil experience with friends, like Outbreak or like RE5. And Capcom hits us with another PvP game similar style to Dead by Daylight. This game is good. It's got a bunch of characters, a bunch of different skills, a lot of unlockables. Now here's where my personal bias comes in. They released an online fucking game with a grindy online game meant to be played over hundreds, if not thousands of hours without anti-cheat. So a lot of players on day one
Without
booted up anti-cheat.
But yeah, I haven't played Resistance. I keep forgetting. Did I play Resistance or Reverse? Yeah, Reverse is the one I checked out. Resistance is the one I never played. And I don't think I could anymore, right? Could I install and play it, right? It's unlisted. I need to try it out. I need to try it out. There is no way around it. I need to try it out. I'm sorry, my hands are tied. I need...
Double clicked it, unlocked everything in the game. That includes stuff that makes you more powerful. And on top of that, they hacked. So not only do they have the best skills in the game, they also hacked on top of it. So half your lobbies on release day and release week, you were just fighting hackers. And that sucks. Releasing another PvP game and...
I don't understand hackers. What's the point? What's the thrill? To just destroy the games for others? Oh, I kill everyone. Cool. Bro, are you 13? They are probably 13.
spitting in the faces of the RE community and players by not even adding fucking anti-cheat. So you could simply just boot up a free program that you could download on the internet and win every game by hacking. Except it wasn't that easy because even the survivors would hack against the hacking killers. So anyway, like as a game, it's fine. But the hacking thing, that's what pisses me off. Like Resistance is better than a couple other games I could think of. So let's just, like, you know what is actually fucking drives me mad? The 3 worst games all have the exact same thing in common. I'm not going to spoil it till we get to them. Resident Evil Reverse. Okay, so again, what do they do after Project Resistance? Again, they make the exact same mistake. They do another low budget, low effort fucking PvP Resident Evil game. And again, this makes my blood boil. Resident Evil Reverse was released as a celebration of the franchise's 25th anniversary.
Wait. Why is Umbrella Corps there? Did you skip Umbrella Corps? 25th anniversary is wild, by the way, for Reverse. Didn't Reverse... Wait. Which game did it launch alongside of? Wasn't it Village? Oh, I thought you got it... I think you got it for free if you had Village. I think that's what it is, but it launched later. Oh my god, for the 25th anniversary as well. That's insane. That is diabolical. After nearly a year and a half delay, was activated in October. That is wild. That is absolutely wild.
As a celebration of the franchise's 25th anniversary. They... Oh, it makes... Oh, I feel like...
That is diabolical. That is what they put out for the 25 years. Bro, just delay Village or something. What the hell?
I feel like I'm gonna... I feel like I'm gonna have to go to the hospital, guys. Umbrella...
It's insane to me that Umbrella Corps is down here, while 6 is up here. That is crazy to me.
Corp was released for the 20th anniversary of Resident Evil. I say this all the time, I'm sorry, but if you're watching YouTube for the first time, this is new to you. Mario Maker to Mario is equivalent to Umbrella Corp to Resident Evil. Umbrella Corp is the anniversary gift Capcom gave to Resident Evil fans, as Mario Maker was the anniversary gift given to Mario fans from Nintendo. Except here's the difference. Mario Maker had OG Mario, Super Nintendo Mario, Wii Mario. It had every fan of Mario, like all generations. It was a generational celebration of everything Mario. Create your own Mario universe. Here, if you're 10 and if you're 40, it's got something for all of you. Now, if you don't like sandbox games, of course you're not going to like it. That's not what the conversation's about. It's about a love letter to the fans. Umbrella Corp, it's like a hate mail. Like, it's like you could not think of something that would piss off RE fans more if you tried. It's literally the opposite. It's like, fuck you. Happy 20th anniversary, you fucking piece of bitch face. Like, it's like...
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, and it's crazy. It's crazy that they thought Umbrella... I still can't believe it. I still can't believe how stupid Capcom is. Like, they know what to do with the main series, but they just can't for the life of them figure out how to make people play online. Bro, just put out a fucking co-op game.
Wake up on your 20th anniversary with your wife and she takes a fucking dump on your face. Like, of course you don't want that. Hello, honey would be nice. Like, hello, honey. That's equivalent to, like, we ported Outbreak to Steam. anything. But
Also,
no-
yeah, why don't you just put out the old games on... I don't get it. Why don't they just put out the old games on Steam? What? Why not? It's just free money. It's literally just free money. Just put it out. Just put 25th anniversary. Okay, let's go. You can now play 1 through 3 and Code Veronica on Steam. Let's go. Wouldn't that be an amazing, like, 25th anniversary, like, little extra? Just a little extra? Chronicles games, yeah, sure. Have them. Why not? Why are publishers so stupid? Like, literally, why? Silent Hill, same thing. Why are the old games not on Steam? Why? Or, like, in general, like, so many old games. Bro, just take the free money. You developed the game 30 years ago. Just take the money, man. What the hell?
Oh, they took a massive shit on her face. And then guess what? For the 25th anniversary, and I was so excited, by the way, call me fucking crazy. After taking the shit down my throat, I'm like, well, maybe in 5 years, the 25th anniversary will be better. Not only did she take a shit down.
Honestly, licensing is such a dumb part of the industry. Not a single RE game was not developed by Capcom. That's the thing. That's the thing. Capcom can literally take them and just do it. Konami, same thing with the original 4 Silent Hill games. They own them. Team Silent was a subset of Konami. They can literally just put them out. Konami is so money hungry with their fucking pachinko machines. Put out the old games. Free money right there, just lying around. Why?
Down my throat again. She shoved it down there to make sure I swallowed with fucking reverse, dude. I can't believe they made the same. Like, when are we gonna get a good anniversary? The 30th? The 35th? The 40th? When are they going to release an... Hey, Resident Evil fans, here's our gift to you. When are they gonna give us something that anyone, any Resident Evil fan wants ever?
Well, I guess now for the 30th, they're gonna do RE9. So at least there's that, but holy shit, man. Wait, 25th? What was the 20th anniversary? That was 2016. Oh yeah, that was Umbrella Corps. Oh man. What was the 15th anniversary? Wait, let's oh my god, that is so sad actually. So 1996, 2021. No. Wait, but 25th anniversary. Wait, but that was 2021 though. Village was the 25th anniversary game. Reverse was supposed to launch alongside Village, but was delayed. We got Village for the 25th anniversary. Wait, bro. 25th anniversary was fire. We got Village. Chill out on that. Requiem, 30th anniversary. Let's go. Umbrella Corps for the 20th is a war crime, is a hate crime. Mercenaries 3D for the 15th anniversary. 10th anniversary was just nothing. And 5th anniversary, I guess the franchise wasn't... We got fucking Survivor 2, which is the biggest piece of dog shit in the entire franchise. Somehow probably even worse than Umbrella Corps. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on it, but I really, really hated it. And fucking Gaiden, which we're gonna play next. But no, 25th and 30th anniversary are looking to be bangers. Chill out on those. Chill out on those, man. Man, I don't know. Oops.
Like, are they ever gonna give Resident Evil fans something nice for the anniversary? Like, god damn, dude. It would be different if it wasn't for the happy anniversary. Here, honey, it'd be different if it wasn't that. Like, if it was just some fucking cheap ass game that was $10 that you find in the bargain bin, sure. But it's this fucking game released as a celebration of the franchise. What franchise are they celebrating? Fucking Call of Duty? This is the opposite. It's even worse than, like, if you think RE5 is too action, or RE6, look at these two fucking games. Not only the action, either PvP. God damn, dude.
Excuse me, Umbrella Corps has a single player campaign that I played in its entirety on stream. It exists. It's there. It's just a bit of flavor text, but it is there.
Okay, sorry, we don't need cam top right. I'll just scroll down. Okay. All right. Next up is Resident Evil 4 Remake. So, remember we talked about...
4 Remake is fantastic. Top 3 for me. Would be a debate between 4 Remake and 7, honestly. I still kind of want to give it to 4 Remake, though. Probably. I'll have to think about it a bit more. But those two are like 3 and 4, probably.
Resident Evil 1 Remake, and how it took the original product, it honored everything, and then it added to it. Remember that? Then we talked about RE2 Remake, where it took the original product, it made it a lot better, but it also took a lot away. And then we have RE4, where they, guess what? They did it again. They remade a game, and they fucking honored it. They took RE4, they respected everything about it, and it's just as good or better, in my opinion. Now,
I thought so too. But upon replaying it, I do think it's, especially replaying it back to back, I do think it's slightly weaker. Because 4 feels about half as long as it really is. It feels so short. I don't know how it does that. It feels so short. 4 Remake doesn't feel as short. You feel the length more than the 4 original, and it's longer on top of that. It is also just longer. That is what gives original the edge for me. All the changes that they made to increase the horror are amazing. To the little changes to the crafting thingy with the gemstones into the chalices and whatever. Cool, like that. But the ways in which they made the game longer, while they are very faithful, well, they make the game longer. And again, it is already a game that I don't know how the original does it. The gameplay is just so tight, even though it's dated gameplay. I don't know, even though it's dated, it feels so short. It feels so quick. It's so like, I don't know how it does that. And that is what gives it the edge for me. Otherwise, it's 4 Remake, but you feel the length more.
could swap these around, sure. Based on nostalgia, especially.
Yeah, you can swap them around, basically, yeah. But to me, original has the slight edge, and I have no nostalgia towards 4 original.
I'm like myself. Like, I probably still prefer playing 4. I think RE4 Remake is amazing. I fucking love that game. And I love Separate Ways, too. And yeah, the Soul versus Soulless can eat my ass out with a spoon. How about them apples? RE4 Remake is incredible. The gameplay is probably my favorite in the franchise. I love the parry system. I love all the enemies and the enemy AI. All the weapons. It's a Resident Evil game where you can use whatever weapon you want, because every weapon in RE4 Remake, besides the bolt thrower, is balanced. If you like the Punisher, upgrade the Punisher. If you like the base shotgun, upgrade that all the way. If you don't like the bolt action sniper for all the damage, get the auto sniper for the super fast damage, or get the super fast sniper for the assault rifle, basically. Everything is good in RE4 Remake for the guns. I love the sound design. I love the environments, actually, this time around. In RE4 OG, I didn't like a lot of the environments. In RE4 Remake, I love a lot of the environments. I think all the enemy revamps were great. I really like the pacing in the game. I think the island is actually fun as opposed to a pain in my ass. And Ashley is a great improvement. Now,
yes,
some
absolutely.
downsides to RE4 Remake, which I prefer in RE4. I don't overly love Ada's voice acting, but then Ada is the most...
Oh, we agree on that. Yeah, I just don't think Ada's voice fits very well. Interesting.
incredible looking woman in, I think, gaming history in that game. So that makes up for the voice acting. Krauser, the first playthrough,
This is it, soldier!
I didn't know what to think. Now, I love him. I love hearing that stupid...
Move out and draw fire, soldier! You remember the fight in the jungle?
It has grown on me so much. I love him now. And another thing I dislike is, I think Sadler is sort of a downgrade. But other than that, like, the good and bad for RE4 OG to RE4 Remake, I feel like is interchangeable. Where some things are better and some things are worse. Like, some people might prefer the atmosphere in RE4 Remake and might prefer it in RE4 OG. Or certain moments in 4 OG are better than they were in the remake. Like maybe the Mendez introduction and the Mendez fight in general. Or maybe the Salazar.
Right, also the first boss fight, the big cheese boss fight, was disappointing in the remake as well. That's also a thing. We didn't get to see the transformation. What the fuck? And the fight itself was also kind of a letdown. I think I could play video games for 25 days straight. What can I say? I like games.
Fight for some people, or maybe the island introduction, or whatever else. But overall, I think they fucking nailed with RE4 Remake, and I would love if they had that standard of quality going forward. Because it is clear that they put a lot more effort into RE4 Remake than they did with some other remakes. Now remember, these games are the same price.
I've tasted ass a few times, highly recommend. So true.
And there's a third game we haven't talked about yet that's also the same price as these. Oh god. Oh god, I hate this. It's so easy putting...
Yeah, no, for me it's easy to remake on top, easy. Like, but those are my still I would 4 and 7, 4 remake and 7, I'm not sure. But these are definitely my top 2, and then it's either 4 remake or 7. But in this reverse order it would be for me.
Them in a letter, but actually maneuvering them in that letter is impossible for me. I don't know. We have Resident Evil 7. Yeah, here's a game I'm getting hate for, and I accept that. I'll take it. All right, it saved the franchise. Let's get that out of the way. So Resident Evil 7?
It did. 7 was the first new Resident Evil game. 2 remake, and everything that came after was after 7. 2 remake. 3 remake, okay, but like 2 remake, 4 remake, Village, now Requiem. All that came after 7. 7 brought the franchise back.
Brought the franchise back to the horror roots.
Yes,
which is amazing.
and also returned to true survival horror. Not an attempt at survival horror, kind of like Revelations 2 now is. It's not really a survival horror game, but it kind of pretends to be. No, it is a true survival horror game in the truest sense of the word. The Baker House, like he explained, the mansion in the first game is basically just a big, what is it called? A big puzzle box. The Baker House is that too, but it's also fucking horrifying at the same time. And that is kind of incredible.
It introduced a new protagonist, Ethan. It introduced a lot of new characters, but you played as Ethan. So Ethan is very one-dimensional, and it's deliberate. Capcom wanted you to play in VR or in first person and feel like you were Ethan. He is the everyday man. He has a normal job. He has a normal voice. He has a normal haircut. He has a normal face. He has normal clothes on. Anyone can be Ethan. I can be Ethan. You could be Ethan.
It's so annoying how insistently they just look 8, 7, 8. Okay, Ethan doesn't have a face, cool, but in that very last scene of Village, bro, show his face, man, where he was trying to holding his daughter, giving her to Chris. Like, really?
And that's the point of the character. He doesn't say too much because he doesn't need to. Resident Evil 7 is a love letter to not only Resident Evil fans, it's a love letter to horror fans, where the introduction is super slow paced, it's super scary, it sets up the Baker House so well, and it sets up everything so well. It also had one of the best demos ever for the franchise. People play.
Yes, and a demo that is original, unique. The videotape that you see in the demo is the same, but that aside, the demo is original, unique, has 4 different endings. A really cool secret to discover that nobody would ever actually naturally find, let's be honest, but this demo alone has a surprising amount of content. It's just like a little freebie to tease the game.
That demo to death. In the intro, when you get your hand cut off, it's super reminiscent of Evil Dead, especially when Mia gets possessed by the evil spirit. That is 100% Evil Dead. Then you get your hand cut off.
Yeah, okay, true. I didn't think of it like that, but yeah, makes sense.
That's also paying tribute to Evil Dead. Then you have the dinner scene, which is paying tribute to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And
True.
Then you have Lucas's little trap fiesta, which is like Saw. You also have the Jack 1 or Jack 2
Is I guess it's like Saw. It did remind me of Saw, but it's I feel like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre inspiration, the Evil Dead inspiration are much stronger than the Saw inspiration. I guess it's there, but if anything, it's not gonna be the real Jigsaw, but like one of his like students who are just killing for the sake of killing, I guess.
fight, there's some Evil Dead, there's straight out of Evil Dead lines. I forget what it is. Oh, that's not groovy. Like he says groovy. Just like in when Ash puts his chainsaw hand on and in the movie, he says groovy. Now we have the homage to Resident Evil, where Jack acts like a nemesis figure. The mansion acts like the mansion in Resident Evil 1 OG. And also, the Marguerite's house acts like the guardhouse from Resident Evil 1 OG as well. And you have Marguerite feeling like
Okay, that's not what I think of it as at all.
an almost Mr. X / Nemesis type figure as well. You have a couple stalker type enemies in the game.
Yeah.
So it is everything is Resident Evil in the first half of RE7. Whether or not
See? He also says first half, and then the second half falls off so hard. That's also what I said. But now, upon replaying it, first up, it's not half. It's like a third of the game at the end. And the ship is still very much survival horror. It's just much smaller scale. It's shorter. And it's more story-driven. But it is still very much survival horror. And the cave section is so short, that's just a final stretch at that point. So no, I disagree with that notion now that it's the first half is amazing, the rest is kind of like a 6 out of 10. It's just like fine. No, not after replaying it this now. I will say though that playing the original Ari as a 14-year-old in '96 in a dark bedroom or living room was terrifying. Playing it on my cousin's old PS1 as an 8-year-old or something, 9-year-old. With daylight shining was terrifying. But 7 is terrifying to me now as an adult. And I don't think the original Resident Evil would be to anyone at this point. Except maybe a few moments here and there, you know, the dogs breaking through the windows. That might be surprising to some people, you know, some moments. But 7 is just terrifying throughout. To anyone of any age. And I don't think one can claim that for itself anymore.
crazy people want to believe it, it's true. You could dissect it down to the very last detail. The first half of Resident Evil 7 is very Resident Evil. I love it. I love the first half. Exploring the Baker house. Jack Baker is one of the best antagonists that Capcom has ever created in all of these games. Jack Baker is S tier. Easily. He's so good. And Marguerite is amazing as well.
Marguerite is also amazing. I kind of want to say she's underutilized, but no, I don't think so. She's just amazing.
Love the boss fights. And if the game ended at the rowboat, when you choose to save Mia or Zoe, if it ended there, and it was like a $30 like experience, where you just like this little like, you know, it's sort of one of those off games like Gaiden or Survivor 2 or whatever, it'd be a 10 out of 10. Or like a 9.5 out of 10.
It would be a 10 out of 10. But as
but
this,
as
I
soon as you
it would be a 10 out of 10. But again, I said it just now, I just don't think it is. I just don't think the rest of the game is as weak as I thought it is and as this guy thinks it is. And it's not half of the game. That's the thing. So I would personally still say it's like a 9 out of 10. Like a low 9-ish. Like 8.5, maybe super high 8, super low 9, somewhere on that ballpark. So like right on the line between S and A.
It's that rowboat. I feel like the game falls off a cliff. You go from these extremely detailed areas that you can walk around and look at for hours and explore and appreciate. Like this extremely detailed environment with these well thought out characters, to a super generic boat that you have to play twice because you have to watch the tape as Mia and play through it, and then you have to stop watching the tape and play through it again. You have to play through the worst area 2 times. And
but like, the first time you play it, it's like completely intact, and the second time there are, I guess, technically, but it is very different. The molded are there, the paths are blocked off, whatever. I don't know.
Introduces Evelyn, just the generic evil girl, which you could say it's like the Ring or whatever else, doesn't matter. Evelyn's okay. And then you go to the cave, and then you go back to the house and beat the game. I think the second half is like a 6, and the first half is like a 10. But where I
See,
think
that's
the game
also what I said. That's exactly. I didn't say it like that, but that is exactly what I had in my mind. Where I said overall it's like an 8 out of 10. First half is 10. This is exactly what I also said. But right now, I disagree with that.
redeems itself for me is the DLC. End of Zoe is amazing.
End of Zoe is not like super amazing. It's really damn good, but it's not like super amazing. Bedroom is incredible. I love it. Daughters brings us back to the baker house, has 2 different paths. Amazing. And you only discover the second path after finishing the first one, which is a bad ending, the failing path. And then through that knowledge, you can do the second path. Love that. 21 is basically blackjack, but it was super fun when I played it. When I first played it, I just thought I would play like 1 or 2 games of it when I first played on stream, but I actually ended up playing through the entire thing on all difficulties on stream because it was just so fun. Not a hero. Well, that's basically just a shooter. It's just Chris going through it, just shooting everything. It's fine, I guess. The weakest one, in my opinion. And the other ones are just like challenge modes, basically. Don't care about those. But the Resident Evil, I keep saying it, Resident Evil 7 DLCs are so underrated.
Hero is decent. Bedroom is amazing.
Yes.
Nightmare is really fun. Ethan Must Die is really fun.
Yeah, Nightmare, Ethan Must Die, Jack's 55th birthday. Those are basically challenge modes where like you have to survive or defeat a number of enemies. You know, those kinds of things.
Joe's birthday is silly and can be fun. 21 is a great spin on 21. The band footage where you get to see how Evelyn infected the family is awesome. And
that is Daughters. Banned footage is a catch-all term of a bunch of these smaller DLCs were included in the banned footage. What he's talking about is Daughters, which is one of them. But 21 and Bedroom were 2.
The different endings is really cool too. I think if the game had no DLC, I would put it somewhere down here. Definitely up at the upper echelon. But I still can't, like, how much I love the first half and how much I love the DLC. I do not like it more than Village. That I can tell you is a fact. I think
exact same thing I would have said. But not anymore.
Here is good for me. I do like it more than 5. And as much as I play Outbreak 1 and 2 more than 7 and 5 and Deadly Silence, these games have problems, like major issues, on a critical thinking level, like a objective, like the load times are horrible, yada yada yada. We already explained those. So that's why you see games that I might not play as often up higher than games I do play more. Like Survivor has some of my most played time in the franchise. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, I do really like Village. Or 7, sorry. And Village. You know, that point stands too. I forgot about the unskippable cutscenes. Yeah, one thing that I don't like about 7 as well, that, yeah, actually, you know what? You ruined it for me. You cannot skip the cutscenes for some god-awful reason.
Cutscenes aren't skippable. I didn't notice that because I didn't have to skip any of them, but that is, yeah, that's bad.
In this fucking game. And most of the cutscenes are not fun to watch.
I say I didn't have. I didn't try to skip any of them, I mean.
Having to replay... What? Oh my god. RE7 would be so... Okay, let me explain something about speedrunning really quick, because I'm a speedrunner if you're watching for the first time. This game blew up in the speedrun universe when it first came out. It exploded. It was huge. It was the most viewers I ever had at the time, because it was me and Trance going back and forth for record, until Zarian came in and kicked our asses. But here's the issue. RE7 died off in like a month, because... you can only see the "hey baby" enough times, you know what I mean? The fact that they
Yeah,
did
no, that is bad. Why are cutscenes not skippable? That is bad. It's not an issue I faced. I never tried to skip any of them. But yeah, no, that is bad. Even the newer RE games have some questionable decisions,
capitalize on that
including the most recent one, 4 Remake.
"baby" enough times, you know what I mean? The fact that they didn't capitalize on that popularity by just getting one employee to implement cutscene skip, and we all know one employee can do it. You know why we know that? Because a fucking modder did it. The fact that they didn't do that is nuts to me. Absolutely fucking nuts. But I digress. I still really love 7. Like, I do hate that boat section, guys. I can't stress that enough. I don't enjoy it at all. But man, nothing beats walking out that baker door the first time and seeing that shitty trailer and hearing that atmosphere and walking around the yard, going under and getting that upgrade part for the shotgun, walking slowly to see that other house in the distance. Oh man, those moments are so good. Like, I love the first half of RE7 is so fucking good, man. It's so much fun.
Baker House is the best thing RE has ever done, in my opinion. Period.
Oh, I love it so much. And Madhouse, Madhouse is one of the best difficulties they've ever done. The only bad fucking part of Madhouse is when you have to play that goddamn tape as Mia. That part sucks dick. But everything else on Madhouse is great. The goat! The goat!
Yeah. Okay, you're doing this for the 3rd time now. Chill out.
What else needs to be said? The goat! First, I'm going to talk about RE3 Remake fans. I'm a fan.
You're a fan? Then you're wrong. For me, RE3 Remake... yeah, it's a C. Just off the top of my head, I would like to give it like a low C, but based on my metric, it should be like a high-ish C.
That's a fan, I betcha. For those of you online who are on every tweet defending RE3 Remake, saying that you don't understand, what's with the hate? It's an amazing game. Stop. You guys don't know what you're talking about. I'll tell you. I will tell you. Just sit and listen, and I'll explain it.
Okay, I will listen. I will... What did I do?
And I'm not even...
Okay, I will listen. I will sit and listen. The one thing I will say, though, is that excluding 5 and 6, because I hadn't played them for too long, 3 was my least favorite one in the franchise for a while. Again, excluding 5 and 6 because I hadn't played them for too long. At this point, would I rank 3 above 5? I think ever so slightly above 5, and then 6 goes way below that. It's bottom 3 for me of the main series.
Hate. It's an amazing game. Stop. You guys don't know what you're talking about. I'll tell you. I will tell you. Just sit and listen, and I'll explain it. And I'm not even saying it's a bad game. I'm not going to say it's a bad game. It isn't. It's a great game, actually.
I disagree with it being a great game. I also disagree with it being a bad game.
But I'll explain the hate. And I'll explain it in great detail. You'll understand if you actually sit through this, instead of click the X and then write a defense in the comment section. That'll immediately be made invalid by the points I will lay out to you. All right, so we talked about Resident Evil 1 Remake. How it took RE1 and it took every single little detail and then added extra to it. And the extra was amazing.
Yes.
We talked about RE2 Remake, where it didn't even need to take everything. It took most and it added a little bit. And it was God tier.
Yes.
Like,
and then also removed a bunch, sadly. But that bunch was another campaign, which, you know, you still have a full campaign, which you don't in 3. Well, I mean, you kind of do, but you kind of don't. What's the second game? That is Umbrella Corps, the one I'm about to play next. I am so excited.
80%, 85%, 90% of RE2 is in RE2 Remake. And there's extra to boot, so sure. And then RE4 Remake. RE4 Remake took every single thing from RE4, minus like a room with lava in it and maybe another room.
Oh, true, the room with lava wasn't in the remake. I didn't even notice, honestly. But yeah, I guess it removed a little bit. It also changed up the way the big statue works. You know, there are a few changes, but for the most part, it just added stuff.
And you know what it did though? It added a ton of extra shit and fleshed out other areas. For one example is the maze section. They fleshed that out. And they fleshed out many areas.
Did they flesh out the maze section? I don't know. It's still just as confusing. It's just different. But yeah, whatever. Sure.
And if you didn't find those areas in RE4 Remake, they threw them in separate ways and they changed them in a good way. And they...
Yeah, that's the thing. We didn't play separate ways. Hopefully yet. Maybe, hopefully we will still get to separate ways. But we just didn't play separate ways in this marathon. Neither of the two separate ways versions. So, don't know. I do know that separate ways was changed a lot. Of all the remakes, separate ways is the most different one. In a good way. It was expanded a lot.
Added more to separate ways on top of that. So they took the DLC and they made it better. Then we have RE3 Remake, okay? They took away 6 costumes. They didn't add any more. They took away the mercenaries, the extra DLC. They didn't add any more. Now what you're supposed to do to make a good remake is you're supposed to not take away the good stuff that people love. You're supposed to keep it and add more. And
Not necessarily add more, but you're supposed to keep it. You're supposed to improve it. That is the purpose of a remake. If you add more, that is nice. That is a bonus. That is cool. Love that. It's not an absolute necessity, contrary to what he's saying, in my opinion. But it is good practice to at least add a little bit. For example, the example I always mention, the fantastic Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy. Those 3 games, okay, mechanically it's a little changed. They, whatever. Mechanics are a bit slightly different, but by and large, these are the same games, just made beautiful, pretty, and playable for modern audiences, okay? They added only 2 levels. One of them was in the original code, it wasn't finished, and it was never actually in the game. They finished that one and added it back into the game, and they made 1 original level. That's it. The rest is just the same game. The same 3 games. That's the thing that they added, I guess. They bundled 3 games into 1. Instead of just making 1 game, they made 3 remakes in 1. I guess that is the cool added thing. But for the most part, these are the same games. They only added 2 levels. 2 really long and hard levels, but only 2 levels were added. It's not necessary. And these 2 levels were necessary for it to be an amazing, incredible remake. What you need is just to make it worth it. Make it worth buying over the originals. That's what you need to do. And if that means improving the graphics, improving the gameplay to modern standards, then that's all you need to do. They took its soul and gave us a corpse. I wouldn't say it like that. With Resident Evil 3 Remake, I wouldn't say it like that. It's not a good remake in my opinion. Not at all, don't get me wrong. But I don't think it's as horrendous. Like, as a remake, it is horrendous. But I'm not just judging it as a remake. And as a game on its own, it's not great. Not at all. It's not even close. But it's not a horrible game, in my opinion. It's playable, yeah. It's playable. It's fine, at best. It's just, once you start comparing it to the other games in the franchise, literally any other game, to 2 Remake, which came right before, which had tons of content, had tons of horror, tons of like interesting locations, like also big locations, not just, you know, a big city, but then you can only enter like 3 buildings basically, and it's not really a big location at all. It doesn't feel like one, you know. Once you start comparing it to any other game in the franchise, yes, it completely blows. Especially if you compare it to, again, either 2 Remake, which came out right before, or 3 original, then it's horrible. But just as a game, on its own, in isolation, it's a fine action game, at best. It's not great, but it's fine. It has its fun moments. And I like the final moment with Nemesis, for example. And I liked the Nemesis boss fights in general. I find it a shame how quickly he turns into this dog thing, but I like the boss fights. You know, there are things I like. I like how it looks. I like how Raccoon City is displayed. Yes, they didn't do anything with it, but at least there is something good there. You know, and at least there is some survival horror, you know, in the hospital, you know. They also recycled the police station, just like they did in the original. Yes, and they didn't give us the clock tower. Yes, it's a bad remake. But as a game, just playing it, it's not completely horrible. I had some fun with it. So to me, it's like a 5 out of 10. You know, all things considered, you know, bad remake, kind of fun gameplay, all things like into the pot. For me, it's a 5 out of 10.
Improve what's bad. RE3 Remake didn't improve what was bad. They made what was bad worse and didn't add to it at all. Now, I'll get the good out of the way, because there's a lot to love in RE3 OG. It has amazing voice acting. It improved every character from the franchise that was in RE3 OG. In my opinion, I like Jill better. I like Carlos better. I
like Carlos better. Jill, same thing for me. I don't care, but I like Carlos better as well. Yes.
Kyle better. Nikolai is the only one that's iffy for me. And once Nemesis turns into a dog, you know, that's not Nemesis anymore. That'd be like if Birkin turned into...
Yes, that's not Nemesis anymore, but he also does that in the original. It's just that he only does it for the final fight, and here they even added more, you know? And that's cool. Just give us more of the original, the walking Nemesis, not the barking Nemesis.
A helicopter. So those things are great.
What?
That's not Nemesis anymore. That'd be like if Birkin turned into a helicopter. So those...
Yeah, but Nemesis turned into a dog by the end of the original. That's the thing. So it is still Nemesis. It's just a different form of him. A form I kind of don't like very much because I just prefer the normal Nemesis. But you can't say it's unfaithful to the original. You can't say it's not Nemesis. I think there's 5 transformations, yeah, something like that. If you include the very, very first thing where his head is also wrapped and then his head is open, if you include those two also as separate forms, which I guess technically they are, then I think there's 5. Honestly, you should turn into a helicopter.
Things are great. The voice acting, the soundtrack is unreal, the sound design is super well done, the pacing is great, maybe not for the best reasons, but the pacing is great. They improved areas like the hospital. There's some really cool boss fights, like Inferno Final Enemy, love that shit. The final boss.
The final boss is a cool fight. It's just, again, to me, when I first played it, it was just disappointing that you only use the laser twice, because I would expect it to use it 3 times, you know? You just use it once, and then all the fuses are blown out, you push them in, use it one more time, and that's it. I would expect to have to do it one more time, basically. That you know, and that is kind of representative of the entire game. It's just not enough. What is there is not bad, but it's just not enough.
The final boss of RE3 Remake, way better than Slug Boy from RE3 OG. Like, I love what they did with the last boss in RE3 Remake. But here's the problem. Here's why people don't...
Oh, right, Slug Boy. Oh, right, he didn't actually turn into a dog. Right, maybe I'm misremembering. He turned into this weird slug that just kind of crawls after you. But it makes sense that they would change that into a dog that actually, like, runs around and is like... I think the dog transformation makes sense in the remake.
Didn't like RE3 Remake. I'm sure we can all agree that the demo for RE3 Remake, when we played the demo, that was perfect. Like,
yes, because the demo, in case anyone doesn't know, I didn't bother adding it as a separate thing, unlike the RE7 demo, because with the RE3 demo, it's just a section from the city, basically. It is all that you see in the demo is in the game too. But the difference is, in the demo, it is just the city, and you look around, you explore, Nemesis can show up. Just like in the game, as is. Problem is that the demo is basically already all the city has to offer. It is glorious, but that's already it. That's the problem.
Played the demo. Am I crazy here? Am I alone? It was amazing. This is everything we want RE3 to be. The remake is going to be incredible. Like, this, look at the expanded city, Nemesis following you. This is fucking sick. And then, when OG fans played the actual game, that is the only part, the demo section is the only section that is even slightly reminiscent to the OG RE3. Now remember where we talked about 4 remake and 1 remake and 2 remake where everything's there.
Another change I liked about 3 remake is the spider section. That wasn't a thing in the original at all. It was just one building. You just choose what to do and that's it. Either a zombie storm or you run away and that's basically it. That was expanded into this whole spider section where you have to activate these 4 things. That was cool. I like that.
Nothing is there in RE3 remake. They took sections RE3 OG opens up quite non-linear. You can go
Yeah.
quite a few different ways.
Yeah, there are these three things you have to collect for the cart, and you can go anywhere you want pretty much to get these three things.
In RE3 Remake,
In any order.
it's like you're getting sucked through a vacuum. You start the game and immediately Nemesis is on your ass. He pushes you through your apartment, he pushes you through the streets, and then he pushes you through the OG area that you started with Dario. You finally get to the subway station. Anyway, yada yada yada. I'm not gonna go off on the game plan. Everything good from RE3 OG wasn't improved in RE3. It's straight up missing or made worse. There's not much else to say. The hospital was improved upon. That's
Yes.
great. But taking away most of the city and not adding more city, the best part of RE3 is exploring Raccoon City.
Yes, you actually get to explore the city. That is a cool feeling. I didn't know what to do sometimes. Okay, cool, but at least it felt like an actual survival horror area, an open city. What did you have until that point? Funny enough, actually, that RE3 released in 1999, just like Silent Hill, and in both of them you have the open city. But no, what did you have until that point? You had the police station, you had the sewers, you had the mansion, you had like the little side house, you had labs. Okay, cool. Now you have a whole city to explore. And it feels just like those areas. It's like a big puzzle box. You look around, you explore, you find items that you use in different places and so on. And it's what you want from a survival horror game.
You do not get to explore Raccoon City in Resident Evil 3 Remake. You get to explore a small portion of a couple shops.
Yep.
And then you're thrown into the sewer.
Yep.
And then
Pretty
once
much.
you come back up out of the
And also, cool idea. In 3 original, the sewer and lab are basically one thing. They're like combined. In the remake, they separated them. They're two separate areas. That is cool. I like that. They had plans. It is visible. It is noticeable that they wanted it to be bigger, but they didn't.
sewer, again, you're pushed into a cutscene simulator of getting pushed through the next area. RE3 Remake is all about forcing you to the next area, where RE3 OG is all about introducing a new area for you to explore any way you want to explore it. And whichever way you choose to explore it in 3 OG, it will then change the enemy spawns and the cutscenes you get in the future areas.
And that is cool. I didn't know that.
So if you play it again,
Like, until he said it when he talked about RE3 original.
and you say to yourself, I want to go this way instead, you're going to get a new cutscene, and you're going to get a new story element. You're going to get something you haven't seen before. You might see an enemy you've never seen before. In RE3 Remake, every playthrough is the exact same. So the very element of RE3 OG was scrapped. All I'm getting at is as a remake, RE3 didn't even try. It fell extremely flat, and there is no argument about it. I have pointed out the facts comparing all remakes. They're all the same price. All remakes towards the OG, and RE3 Remake did not do the OG justice whatsoever. And that's what makes fans angry. Because the best parts of RE2 Remake are those parts from RE2 OG that are improved. The best parts of RE4 Remake are those parts from RE4 that are there and improved. Resident Evil 1, same thing. And in Resident Evil 3, the players, if you're a fan of the original, they're left wondering, okay, I can't wait for this part coming up. And it's not there. I can't wait to fight Gravedigger, the worm boss. And he doesn't exist. Okay, I can't wait to see what replaced him. And nothing did. I can't wait to get to the clock tower. And it's gone. I can't wait. Well, at least we'll get to see the Dead Factory at the end. And they took the RE2 Remake lab and scrapped the Dead Factory. And you know why? These decisions aren't made to improve the game. As much as people want to gaslight themselves to say that, and go ahead, do that. That's fine. They were made because RE3 Remake was pushed out as fast as possible because they knew, because of how well RE2 Remake did, RE3 Remake would just sell no matter how it was.
And it's the same thing they did with the original too. It came out the next year, was shorter, noticeably shorter, recycled areas from RE2. History repeated itself. It's crazy.
And that's fine. What we got was a 5 to 6 hour, great, tightly packed experience, which was the same price as a game that has twice as much content, but 4 scenarios worth. So even one scenario of this is twice as much as this. But there's 4 scenarios in this. And then there's costumes for each character. There's the old soundtrack. There's the Ghost Survivors, which is 4 of those. There's Tofu, which there's 5 of them, I believe. And then there's Hunk. And in RE3, you got 1 game that's shorter than 1 scenario in this, both at the same price.
2.5 really, yeah. It's really not 4 scenarios, it's more like, yeah, I guess 2.5 if you consider all the other ones like half of one each, but still, 2.5 is better than just half. And plus all the other things he mentions, like the costumes, Hunk, Tofu, whatever, all those things, yeah.
Both are remakes. This one took everything great about that one, made it better. This one scrapped everything about that one. And I know what some people are gonna say. Well, the stuff in the OG was bad anyway.
No, it wasn't.
Yep. Just like stuff in this game, and this game were bad. And you know what they did? They took it and they improved it. And that's why those are great remakes. And that's why they did well. And in this game, they took that stuff and they scrapped it. And you know what instead they did? They took stuff from this game and added it instead. Anyway, as a remake...
But they also did it with the original, so... Yes, criticism, but they also did that with the original. Yeah, but yeah. They just removed stuff. That's the main problem. They just removed stuff. They didn't add anything, they just removed stuff. They added, like, sewer is its own area and whatever, you know? But, like, you know...
It is like a spit to the face. But as a game, it's pretty solid. Like, we can't deny the gameplay is awesome. The dodge roll is sick. It actually works in this game. The weapons are pretty cool. The characters are great. It has some amazing cutscenes. It's got an amazing soundtrack. It's got great pacing for all the wrong reasons. If this was a remake tier list, it'd be here. Because it's a horrible...
Great pacing for all the wrong reasons. To an extent, I also feel about the first Revelations game that way as well. To an extent, not that much.
Remake, but this is a game tier list. I just can't have 6 above 3. I don't think 6 is better than 3 remake. I actually don't.
Good. At least 6
like
got
that.
downgraded.
Do I?
Finally, at least 6 got downgraded. 6 can't be in B. There is no way 6 is in fucking
these
B.
games are both did their damage, and they deserve to be together, just like Resident
But
Evil.
the thing, you know what's insane? Both of these games came out at the same price-ish, at least. You know, both of them were full-price titles, basically. You know what the difference is? 6 has 4 campaigns that are as long as the entirety of 3 remake.
Survivor and Dead Aim deserve to be together. Just like these two deserve to be together. I hope I laid myself out very well here, because everyone always asks me about RE3, and I feel like I've explained it well enough. I tried to be as, you know, when this game first came out, when RE3...
Blaze is too short, but it says it has great pacing for wrong reasons. Well, yeah. I feel the same about Revelations to an extent. Because, well, it could be longer. It could be expanded. It's only like 5 hours long. I mean, it's a 3DS game, I get it, but just like thinking about it, like it could be expanded. But because it's so short, it has great pacing, because it just leads you from one cutscene to the next. It could be more open, for example. That would make it longer, because the way it is, it's pretty linear. But because it's linear, you get from cutscene to next story element. It's great pacing. But it's not necessarily for the bad reason, because the game just isn't very open. It's very linear. It just kind of pushes you through the game. I feel that with the first Revelations game to an extent, with 3 Remake a lot. I agree.
First came out, I was, by the way, everyone's gonna contradict what I'm saying by going to watch my first playthrough. You guys gotta understand, RE3 is my favorite RE game, and in my first playthrough of RE3, I was on heavy copium. In my mind, I was such an imbecile. I was so ignorant when I played this. I'm not even lying. I seen the IGN reviews and I was like, no, they're wrong. They can't be right because they came out early. I seen the GameSpot reviews. I'm like, no, they can't be right. Like, there's no way. Like, there's no way the clock tower is that bad. But then when I played through it, like, you got to realize when I first play RE games, it's a huge deal. It's overwhelming. I have more viewers than I've ever had in my life every time. I have more active chat than I've ever had in my life every time, and I have less sleep every time. With RE3, you know, I got through it and I didn't even have time to think. And then when I woke up the next day, I did think. I was like,
Can't really complain that something is too short, but then say it has good pacing, because good pacing would mean it has a good way of telling the story that feels complete to a good length. If it's over before you have a chance to really enjoy it, then that's not good pacing. You can also make good pacing with longer games. That's not impossible.
wait, they didn't even have the clock.
2 Remake also had great pacing, and that game is about double of 3 Remake. And about double of Revelations. With Revelations, I get it because it was a limited platform. 3 Remake had no excuse. You can also make good pacing with short games, yes. But this game has great pacing, but it's still too short. You know, yes, the pacing is good, but you want more? Like in RE2 Remake, the pacing is good, but we got enough. Good campaign, good length. 3 Remake, pacing is great, once more, but the game is just too fucking short. I don't think that's inconsistent.
And where was Gravedigger? Wait, I didn't even get a costume when I beat the game. It's missing like 80% of the game. Holy shit. Hey everybody scrolling to the end. You are gonna be angry unless you rewind and you rewatch whatever game you're angry about. Because people that scroll to the end of tier lists are usually looking for one game in one spot, and if it's not in that one spot, they're angry. Well, I explained thoroughly
Short
why
game
I
feels
chose
complete.
the spots I put.
I don't think RE3 Remake feels complete. I genuinely don't. A long game feels complete. If you're complaining that the game feels too short or feels too long or feels too short, then it's not good pacing. No, but the pacing can still be good. What? If it's too short, like the short length that it has, the pacing is good. You get cutscenes, you get your like linear like escape sequences, you get all that, and it's sprinkled in nicely at a nice pace. And you know, it always keeps you on edge. The pacing is good. It's nice. It keeps going, and suddenly it's over. What was that? Where's the other half of the game? Well, until now it was great. The pacing was amazing. But where's the other half? You know, something can have good pacing and still be too short.
I also explained that if you would put them somewhere else, that's great, because that's your tier list and this one's mine, and it's based off of my enjoyment and the quality
It feels good while you're in it, and then it's suddenly over. Yeah, exactly. These two things are not mutually exclusive. You can have good pacing and still a game that feels too short.
think that comes from these games. I hope you enjoyed the tier list. This is what I think in 2024. I need to check the year. And maybe this list will be completely different next year, because I will continue to play all these games and possibly change my mind on a few of them. And maybe some of them will get updates and other mods and other...
There are a few games here that we haven't played. I'll make my tier list when I'm done, but I see where he's coming from with all of these, but I disagree with some of them. Namely, well, mostly 5. Now that 6 got ranked down to C, I still disagree with C, but at least it's more acceptable than a fucking B, but 5 is a crime to have that in A. The rest, I think, just looking at it, like, you know, 3-2, I disagree with them being so high. But that's just, you know, nostalgia, whatever. The rest, it mostly checks out. Like, I can see where he's coming from. I did enjoy Operation Raccoon City. I put that in B. Interesting.